Welcome to Magny-Cours for the fourth of 5 double-header sprint rounds that form half of the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. This former Grand Prix circuit in the very centre of France offers a brilliant place to go racing, and the big question is whether the record of having a different winner every race can be maintained. There is much to play for, and every adjustment that can find even a fraction of a second might count, as the title battle is almost too tight to call, with the top 3 crews covered by just 1 point. There is also plenty to play for across the other 3 classes.
So Mercedes leading by just 29 points from BMW. Porsche an absolutely equal in second place with BMW. Ferrari a little further back. Audi down in 5th place, but it's Lamborghini that will be starting this first race here at Magny-Cours from pole position. Top overall, the pro class, it's the driver on the far left. It's Luca Engstler, second generation racer, and what a wise head he's got supporting him in Jordan Pepper. But Luca is going faster and faster. Is this the moment that Lamborghini get to strike? 1 hour of racing, 40 cars. Impossible to guess who's going to win this one, but it's all eyes on the start. And just remember, you've got that wonderful sweep through the Grand Curb, a little kink, and then you get into that long right-hander at Esther. It's a brilliant start to the race here. But look, the light is falling. Right, pole starter, the number 63 Lamborghini on the outside. He's the pit wall starter, pit wall side starter. The grandstand starter is Patrick Niederhauser. It's Lamborghini from Porsche, tucked in behind the Ferrari of Alessio Rivera. Alongside him, Jim Pla, the CSA Racing McLaren. This is the final corner, onto the start-finish straight. How close can you pack these cars? They're almost on top of each other. 20 rows, 40 cars. The lights are already green. A very, very quick flick. Looks like a very tidy getaway from pole position from Luca Engstler. And the driver in 4th place is the one pushing as hardest. Jim Pla in his McLaren goes towards the outside there, and that's when you can get muscled off the circuit. But all nice and clean for about the first 20 cars. What's happening behind, I can't tell you yet, but what I can tell you is Luca Engstler made a really, really tidy start from pole position.
Yeah, looks like Stolz had Lucas Auer off on the exit of turn 1. This 9 car eased off the yellow man filter car, but we go on board with Rivera now 3rd position. You can see them still working the pressures higher and higher. Engstler doesn't have to defend here. We're going to see the concertina up here into the hairpin.
Yeah, Marcus Siebert lost a few positions. I thought we'd have a spinner. I didn't think. Rivera, having fallen to the back in qualifying, being reinstated into 3rd position. Not what he wanted. The winner of the opening race of the season at Brands Hatch, and it's not going to be happening for him here tonight and his team at Vincent Abril. But that's what happens at the Adelaide hairpin. It always has, and it always will. Yeah,
it looked like Jim Pla got into the back of him. Hard to see if it was Jim Pla accelerating too early or Rivera was slow to get going, but expect a potential penalty for Jim Pla there, maybe 10 seconds. You could see all the carbon fibre as well from other cars. Drivers doing well to avoid that. That would have been in the blind spot, and Rivera doing well to flick it round with the traction control off. Now getting more single file outside the top 15. Big slide there for Tom Fleming.
Yeah, well, of course, that was the dream result there for Luca Engstler and Patrick Niederhauser. They didn't wish on anyone else, but they've now got a big gap between them and the rest. That will really, really give them choices in this race. Down at the very back of the field, I can see Dennis Marshall's already picked off about 5 or 6 positions, his Kessel Racing Ferrari, but bouncing over the curbs, just trying to get clear of Patrick Niederhauser. Luca Engstler powering on to the Garage 59 McLarens, very close to each other, and in fact, very close to disaster as they go through the final corner.
Yeah, Cheever, the meat of the Garage 59 sandwich, got past Goethe, saw some more bodywork flying off. Could have been the front of that 93 Sky Tempesta car, but good move from Cheever. Aggressive on the first lap. Car still fighting all over this place. Line speed there, looking down the inside of Winwood. But the front 2, like you said, they wouldn't have wished bad, but I'm sure they would as a racing driver. I know they would have, and now they have gap. They've got, what, 1.6 seconds back to Jim Pla in 3rd. Be interesting to see if Jim Pla's got any damage on the front left corner of his McLaren.
And the one who really lost out, he lost about 3 positions for Adelaide on the first lap, was Marcus Siebert, who'd been in class pole. And in fact, he's had even more problems this time. He's gone way too deep into Adelaide. He's just lost about 4 more positions. But up to the lead in the Silver Cup class is Kobe Powell's. It's going well. He's sharing with Jamie Day, who's just come up from winning a race in Australia last weekend. So, you know, as a racing driver, sometimes when your momentum is with you, it's just these small elements. But what brilliant shot. And unfortunately, 1, 2, 3 cars forward of Roman Andriolo, the Mustang, deep in the gravel. So I think that big advantage that Luca Engstler and Patrick Niederhauser has will surely be hauled back in, because one does feel there's going to be interruptions. And that's turn 5, deep in the gravel. Safety car, there is the message, but Joe, no surprise there.
No, and Tom Fleming, that first Garage 59, gets the move done on boost. He's been a man on the move in the first few laps and has done a really good job. He's gained 3 places, and there was a 3rd third car. So we saw the Mustang, the 99 Audi as well there. And yeah, Siebert locked the rears, didn't he? I don't know if he got contact. So much to look at with 40 cars on the grid.
Well, now the start looked very tidy for Luca Engster's point of view, but in about 5th or 6th place, it really got a little bit tough. You could see the Winward Racing Mercedes getting a real twitch. Luki Auer doing a good job to get that back onto the stuff that had some grip. Down through Estoril for the first time. Any problems were likely to come at the back of the pack. The first half dozen or cars got through, but really all drivers are thinking, got through this, what's the next point we do heavy braking? Oh, I know, Adelaide hairpin, uh-oh. And it was a car in 3rd place that ended up, was there contact? Yes, there was. We were looking through the windscreen of Jim Pla's McLaren. He might say, Rivera turned across my nose, but you do tend to have to turn when you're getting to a hairpin. Now, this wonderful drone shot, looking down at the first corner. Look for the battle. Yeah, 5th and 6th places. No, 6th and 7th places, but the yellow Winward Racing Mercedes off the circuit lost 1, 2, 3 positions, dirt on its tyres. But Auer got actually pretty good traction down into Estoril, was able to get that run out of the corner for the long, long climb. He lost the position on the way out, but he could have lost so much more there.
Yeah, I thought Stoltz rubbed him on the side, but actually didn't look like any contact whatsoever. Auer was just conscious he was there, so tried to run all the way to the exit of the track and just overshot slightly. You see the Ferrari get turned around now, and yeah, I don't think Stoltz gets in the back of that McLaren there, and yeah, unfortunately for Chris Ludlam, nothing he could do. Gets away quickly, but that is 23 places lost just like that.
And the lights are now out. They had to be done with half a lap to go, and they absolutely nailed that one. So what we'll see, yes, exactly what I expected. Luca Engster has backed it off. He's just reading the instruction manual. Down the hill he will come, of course. No one can overtake him until they cross the start-finish line. But at any moment, he's going to just hammer the throttle, and the hardest thing for anyone behind is to know when and how they're going to react. But Patrick Niederhauser, he's been round the block a few times, so he's going to be just absolutely trying to focus and see any clue he can get in the fading light. And in fact, right now, they're heading down the hill into the setting sun. That's not a helping hand.
Yeah, difficult. It looks like they've gone, don't they? We've gone into the last part, and not a bad restart, but Niederhauser with a load of understeer there. Couldn't get to the apex. That's a lovely restart for Engster, and still that Porsche not getting a huge amount of mechanical grip at the moment. It's been a dream restart for Engster, and he'll be able to get his head down and keep pushing for the rest of his stint.
That was really, really clever to accelerate almost on the point of braking. So everyone accelerates, then brakes, and yes, definitely the front end on Niederhauser's Porsche washed away a little bit. Others are still trying to struggle for grip as they're getting around Estoril. Up the long, long climb they go towards the Adelaide hairpin. What could possibly go right? Well, let's find out. I think Engster's got the job done. He's surely got a big enough advantage to get into the hairpin, around the corner before anyone else can get close. It looks like the action's coming further back. Lucas Auer looking out, looking one way, looking another. Is the contact. The driver on the move there is Charles Wirtz around the outside, but unfortunately the outside wasn't where he wanted to be in the end. And Auer's going, no, mate, you're not coming through there.
So important for the championship, how close they are. Any point, a single point makes a big difference. Is Fleming trying to go round the outside of Neubauer in the background. Neubauer and Leclerc are sole remaining all-French lineup at their local race.
Yeah, so the yellow Mercedes and the orangey red BMW, they're the two cars at the front of the championship. In the sprint series, it's the BMW from WRT that leads by 1 point. Remember, I pointed that before the start of the race, but Lucas Auer's car is just 1 point behind, but importantly is 1 position ahead. But right now he's going to have absolutely no rest up until they get to that pit window, and then they'll have to decide when to come in.
Through penalty 111. Only 18 seconds here to drive through the 249.5 metre pit lane, so not a disaster, but race control acting fast, and I wholeheartedly agree. You're going to start to see these brake discs glowing as well in the dark, 650, 700 degrees centigrade. As you can see on the Pyrenean cars, Jake Dennis running wide there as well. Cars still struggling for grip. Track temp will start to drop away, which will bring some grip back, but the teams have to have the pressures in the right window. As we see Fleming get down the inside of Neubauer. Fleming is the man on the move, now braking well inside to the top 8. This is a mega drive so far, and now he will be trying to chase down the BMW. Will that potentially help Lucas Auer if Wirtz has to start looking in his mirror at this 58 McLaren?
Yeah, sometimes you need the cavalry to arrive, and it does look as though Tom Fleming's got the pace to be that, but you know what's been elapsed. They've already lost 17 minutes this race. Another 8 minutes, the pit window will open, and that's when the teams will have to decide how they come in. So it doesn't matter if it's first or last. The battling is fantastic around the circuit here at Magny-Cours. The light is falling fast. We had that quick safety car period, couple of cars out of the race after contact. up at the Adelaide hairpin. Up front, it's still Luca Engstler, 1.1 seconds to good. Almost no one else in the race has got a margin as big as that, because they are nose to tail as they work their way under heavy braking down to 45 kph round the Adelaide hairpin.
And you can see drivers starting to get ready. Vince Abril looking distraught there. They had a terrible qualifying last, then got back up to fourth, getting their lap back, and now they're back to last. And that's why Vince Abril was pretty distraught. I wondered why he wasn't kitted up, ready to go. There's obviously a problem on that car. Is that from the contact, or is that a different issue? I would guess it's the former.
One would think so. Of course, we're looking at the end of the car that didn't have the damage, because the rub was to the right rear corner, and that was the CSA Racing McLaren that did the damage. Just coming through our shot. Now that's the CSA car in third place, number 111 for Jim Pla, but the French driver will be coming in.
I think he's got a chance of getting black flagged here. He's done more than 3 laps to serve that drive-through penalty, and it's not something you can really go and argue. It's a judge of fact. It's done. There's no way around it. As we get a replay at the corner where we saw contact there, you can see a lunge from Villa Gomez and a load of bodywork falling off it.
Right, that top speed, it's still Patrick Niederhauser fastest at turn 7, and it's such a tricky corner, wonderful corner, brilliant high shot there. Looking at a few people getting very, very close indeed to exceeding track limits, and still the warnings come in, largely at turn 11. In fact, that's the uphill chicane. Looks like a bit of a place change down there. There's certainly a bit of rubbing. They say rubbing is racing, but the Ferraris will be on the wrong side of the track. McLaren behind says, thank you very much. You know what? I might take both of you. Up the hill, 3 into a chicane. It's not a formula that normally works, and the McLaren certainly eventually getting back to the circuit. But ambition, I think when you suddenly get an opportunity like that, Joe, you think, I'm going for it. Ziggo Sport Tempesta Ferrari stays at the front of that group, but it was very, very tight indeed.
Yeah, that was Chivo Neubauer on Goethe. Goethe, super brave, making it 3 wide, but only half of that car was on the tarmac, so he had to back out of it. Yes, they cut the inside, but all was fair, all stayed there. And now Neubauer pits. That was as early as he could. Good move by AF-Course there to get him out. So does Charles Wirtz, and this is where the undercut's so strong. Another set of tyres were going on, and the driver change, 4 tyres happening now.
Yeah, and Team WRT have got the final pit garages before pit exit, which is always quite a good thing. But quite simply, Wirtz had tried for lap after lap to get past Lucas Ara. It wasn't happening, and I think that's a very sensible call.
You can see how tight WRT on pit exit, the car control having to get well out of the way. Will they even get up to 50k by the end? They did have the limiter on, so they do feel it. And now we can finally see what this 32 BMW's got now with Van der Linde in the car. I think Wirtz could have had good pace. If this car can do an undercut, they're going to gain a couple of positions potentially and get themselves maybe up to 5th place, I think.
Yep, so far 6 runners came into the pits, gave them plenty of space to make those stops, so they're not tripping up over each other. Now, we were told before the start of the race, it's a split pit window. We have the first 5 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes into the race for the pros and the golds. That's why we saw people like Charles Wirtz come in. And then 30 to 35 minutes, the silver and bronze drivers. A lot for the crews to think about.
Yeah, that was a ballistic pit stop from WRT as well. 2.5 seconds quicker than the AF-Course Ferrari that pitted on the same lap. So they've definitely done a number there. Now Engstler can pit. He couldn't pit the lap before because he was the race leader. The pit window hadn't opened. Niederhauser in as well, 50 kilometers an hour. You can see the dash going red. That must be really close to going over the speed limit. The driver will just keep it full throttle. We saw a penalty last time out for a pit speed violation for a WRT car of Marciello. So we have to keep an eye on there. Grasser getting to work. That rear right didn't come off super fast. Any mistake is 2 or 3 tenths lost. Is this going to be a race in pit lane between the Lambo and the Porsche?
Yeah, well, he certainly had the advantage for all the pit stops. And remember, it was about 1.5 seconds clear. Luca Engstler to 2.2 when they came into the pit lane. Right, there goes car 63, the Lamborghini that started from pole. And they have swapped around. So Rutronic Racing, you blew the trumpet for their pit changing skills, and they've done it again. And
where's going to be Charles Wirtz, now driven obviously by Van der Linde. They're coming out the last corner. It's not going to be the lead, but they're going to be right on the back of the top 3 for WRT, and just about getting in front of that traffic. Luckily now for Jordan Pepe, he will be fired up. That was not a good pit stop. It was for that Rutronic car though.
Well, there were high fives all around in the Rutronic Racing garage. Clearly it's something they work on very, very hard, but that comes with rehearsal, that comes with clarity of thought, and job done for them.
As we see the 111 pit, but this isn't its drive-through, this is a full service, so they're still owing us a drive-through penalty.
Maybe someone's discussing something with race control. Right now we can only focus on what's happening. The pit window's still open, still be open for a while yet, but the second batch of cars for the silver and bronze drivers will be coming in very soon indeed. But right now it's the time of the pros and the golds, and it's definitely been advantage to Team WRT and disadvantage the Grasser Racing team. All their work to take their first pole position since 2019. Brilliant start by Franz Engstler, but alas, it's not been quick enough in the pits.
No, it is not. And just to add context, 2 car teams only have 1 rig, so you can't do both cars. So Garage 59 giving priority to the car in front, Fleming, rather than the pro car. And you can see the CSA car now back up to speed. But for me, they've still got 18 seconds to be added on once they do their drive-through.
And we have to box this snap for the drive-through. Sorry for that, but drive-through is confirmed. I'm really sorry, but box this snap for drive-through.
Well, for the 111 crew, that's a disaster for them. We knew it was coming. Simon Gachet's just taken over after the pit stop, but alas, the penalty was for Jim Plara on the opening lap of the race. What a deflation for Simon Gachet.
Yeah, super tough there. So he cruised through one of the shorter pit lanes of the year, so not as bad as it could be, but rules him out of an overall podium today.
Now, I said Jordan Pepper had to get a bit of a move on to catch up. He had that awful pit stop taking over from pole sitter Franz Engstler, but he's very, very quickly got on the tail of the Rutronic Porsche. Sven Muller at the wheel of that, braking as late as he dares, flipping it through the chicane, but the Lamborghini is looking really, really tidy. I thought the job was almost done. I expected Pepper to close, but not as quickly as he has.
We've seen that a lot as he gets alongside. On exit, it's going to be side by side. It will favour the Porsche as the circuit flows to the right. Pepper's going to try and go round the outside. Will he have to cut the inside? Look at the straight line performance. They go door to door, and I think Pepper's got a chance of hanging around the outside. He backs out of it. Surprised at that. He was so far in front. I think he could have controlled the apex and asked Niederhauser, do you want to turn me around? Does he need to, though? He's going to get a good exit here, and if he can get the overlap, which he doesn't, this race is going to get lively. Pepper's so aggressive, and Niederhauser doesn't seem to have the pace to hold him off.
So coming up the hill towards the Imola chicane, last time around the cars were much, much closer. In fact, the Lamborghini was going up the right-hand side, left-hand side of the track from the driver's point of view. This is the battle for outright race lead. It's nip, it's tuck, it's Chateau d'Eau, and again, the move covered off by Sven Muller. You've got to work harder than that, Pepper. You know what? This is what he loves. The South African will be really just plotting his move, but that was a much better exit from 180 from Sven Muller, and that bought him a little bit of a space.
Starting to see some understeer in this Porsche. We saw it on the restart for Niederhauser. Now Muller seems to be struggling to get the front end. This was the move you were talking about. He gets the cutback done. And at this moment, I think it's advantage Porsche because the circuit flows right. But look at the speed of the Lamborghini. Gets a slight slide draft, of course. But now he's nearly done. I think he can turn across the front of Muller there, and Muller sends it in. What would have happened? There would have been contact. Would Pepper have been spun around? Was Pepper brave but clever in that regard to back out of it?
And a McLaren sitting where it shouldn't. So we've got yellow flags. It's definitely had a thump into the wall.
You can see on the mid part of the white wall there, I think that's where he's gone off.
This is the start of the climb. You come through 180. You're just going through the right-hand kink, which doesn't normally cause a problem, but unsurprisingly, the car on the track, facing the wrong way, going nowhere. It's the yellow sector.
Here we are on board of Darren Lung, so that McLaren was behind us. It looks like it's just popped to our inside here, and then we're going to get the cutback here on the exit. So now that McLaren on our right, it's going to shoot across left at some point. Why does it shoot left? It's so difficult from a quick angle there. Did the 111 McLaren come across the front of us there, or did Darren Lung not leave him enough space? At the moment, I'm going to call that a racing incident.
We've got a restart, and it's gone very, very quickly indeed. It almost feels like full darkness. There is some light in the sky, but Jordan Pepper, again, you've talked about the Porsche really struggling to get any heat in its tyres. 2 Porsches there, but it's the Lamborghini who's about to go past the pair of them. This is for the lead of the race, and can the Lamborghini that started in pole position get the move done? Again, he's not quite a car length clear. He wants to pull across, and now, just now, has he managed to do it, down to Chateau d'Eau. He'll have the corner covered.
Great move, goes in deep though. Can we get a cutback from Muller? We look back from the Lamborghini, you can see the splitter, you can see it getting into the back of the diffuser of this Lamborghini. The headlights ablaze, and the Porsche not happy as it came off the curb at T12, had a huge snap of oversteer, and that allowed Pepper then to set the move up coming out of 13, and Redone was involved but really didn't play a part, just made it 3 wide, a bit more Hollywood. But what can Muller do now? Pepper had the pace. I expect this to be Lamborghini going, gone. This was when Niederhaus got that snap of oversteer. You can see him running deep, so then he compromises his entry here at 13. Pepper gets the cutback, so tucks back, gets on the throttle earlier. That's why he's got more speed. Redone maybe did affect Muller being able to let the car run wide, but I think the job would have been done if that Porsche was there or not of Rendon.
First to second now, 1.3 seconds, so another 1/10 of a second gained by our race leader. That's Jordan Pepper, so this is possibly going to be Lamborghini's first win on the visit so far here to Magny-Cours, right in the heart of France. But Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser, if it hadn't been for that slow pit stop, it could have been a very, very different story.
Yeah, just one more thing for Pepper to contend with is getting past the Qatari Audi on this lap. And one other thing to contend is the fireworks that are being let off on the last corner. SRO doing a great job with the fan activation here.
Yeah, properly dark here at Magny-Cours now. And it's just coming up to 9:45 at night, but we're into the final minute or so of this race. And just going down through the classes, the gold class in 6th place is being led by Louis Pret, the silver class in 7th place by Jamie Day, and the bronze class, Basha Mardini, but he's only 1.6 seconds clear. We said the safety car period might have helped him, but suddenly Darren Lung's got his tail up in the Paradigm competition, BMW. Jake Dennis started way down in 27th position. He was the driver making the most ground in the early stage of the race, and can Durran, the fellow Brit, get the job done? Basha Mardini may be able to hang on.
And we've seen some more track limit penalties, and just saw it for the 93 car there.
Bang, we get to the end of the hour, but I'm fairly sure this is now the final lap. There is the message from race control. Final lap of the race. Jordan Pepper's got to hang on, and as he sweeps through the Grand Curve, that's the first corner, no one immediately ahead. He turns into Estoril. Already the car in front of him has gone out of that corner. It's the number 74 Kessel Racing Ferrari, the car that we thought was going to start on pole, had all its times taken away.
Jordan Pepper could have told him to cancel the fireworks. He was going to deliver it himself, wasn't he? And the pace has been phenomenal. Fastest lap of the race, his theoretical lap, if you put all the sectors together, best. He's 4/10 quicker than anyone else on this 40-car field. So even with the 15 kilos extra after qualifying, this Lamborghini has had a great run. Like you said, Bruce, the only thing was the pit stop, and they will want to address that ahead of the race tomorrow. The team now going to the pit wall.
But only 2 corners to go, 16 and 17. The checkered flag will be out, and it'll be victory in the first of 2 races at Magny-Cours for Jordan Pepper and teammate. There he is, Franz Exler, very happy on the wall, and that is a job done beautifully for them. Of course, Luca Exler, Franz is the father, and tucked in behind, just 1.2 seconds down, is Muller in the Rutronic Racing Porsche. And a car pressing on to take the Gold Cup win is Louis Pret, just coming across the line in 6th place, and in behind him in 7th will be the Silver Cup winner of Jamie Day. And we're waiting to see who is going to be coming through in the bronze class lead. Is it going to be Basha Mardini, who's held on in the 89 Porsche?
Mardini's done a mega job, got a good exit in the Porsche. Last chance, Darren Lung flushing the headlights. Mardini just needs to hook up this apex, and the bronze class win will be his. Great drive there from Mardini to hold on under big, big pressure.
Yeah, really did. He was sitting on a margin of about 6 seconds with traffic between, and then the traffic dissipated, and then on came Lung. But job done for Bashan Mardini and Lion Speed GP. They will be very, very pleased with that. We've had 7 races, 7 different winners, 6 different manufacturers. Well, what a year we're having. 2025 in GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. And for Jordan Pepper, pulled in behind the main pit building where the podium is in the paddock. Again, a lot of interaction with the spectators. It's been really great. They've been there all weekend to cheer on the people. It's a real change from having him on a podium above the track. And for those that fought but didn't win, well, there may be a chance tomorrow. But for Jordan Pepper and the gang, that was an excellent run for them. Well, let's go down and hear the thoughts of our race winner, Jordan Pepper.
GT World Challenge, powered by AWS, brought home by Jordan Pepper. What an incredible stint that was after what was really quite a tricky pit stop. You battled so hard. That overtake was insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was an unfortunate issue with the left front, but things happen. We knew we had a strong car at the early stages, so I tried to capitalize on the outlap with Sven. We had a bit of touching, and he pushed me off a bit, but it's racing, and I knew if I could get another opportunity, I was going to grab it with both hands, and that restart was perfect for that. So caught him out on cold tires, was, yeah, awesome overtake, risked everything for it. And then push to the end.
Good job. Enjoy your podium.
So let's take a look at the overall results, and it's Luca Engstler who started from pole position and Jordan Pepper who put them back into the lead after that slow pit stop knocked them back to second. Patrick Niederhauser and latterly Sven Muller got very close indeed, but just couldn't get to the front in their Rutronic Porsche. Third place, Charles Weerts and Kelvin van der Linde. Championships are won by scoring consistently, and that is what the Belgian South African crew are doing for Team WRC with their BMW. Well, it is time for the champagne. Fantastic podium there, and most of our top crews finished in the top few positions, so no championship be sorted here this weekend. That's it from us. Good night. Sunday afternoon, Magny-Cours in the heart of France. We're ready for the second of the two sprint races here. GT World Challenge powered by AWS. Last night's was a cracker, and today the grid's been absolutely shuffled around. It's a brilliant, brilliant circuit. I'll tell you what, let's take a ride around with Jim Pla in the CSA Racing McLaren. And Joe, I think you could talk us through it.
Yeah, 17 corners, 4.4 kilometres here at Magny-Cours. Turn one of the most challenging corners, straight into it. 220k, nearly flat through here. And then we sweep through two. And then we're focused on turn three here. Estoril, we have an Audi in front. So Jim Pla going in nice and deep, going for a second apex. That's a normal line, but he's really accentuating that to get the run down the longest straight part here at Magny-Cours. 260 kilometres now as we blast past the Audi through this slight kink. Now we spot our braking point for the biggest break of the year. We've got to lose 215 kilometres an hour. Sixth down to first gear, rotate the car, full throttle. All of these GT3 cars have traction control, but of course the driver still needs to control that. Another run, this time into the first of the fast chicanes, Nürburgring chicanes. 7 and 8 track limits are prevalent here, especially on the left now. Got to keep one tyre on the track at all times. Into a tricky 180-degree hairpin, have to go in deep, rotate the car. You'll see lots of different lines taken there throughout the race. Try and get a good exit if you want to try and overtake someone. Into the next chicane, the Imola chicane, slightly slower than the previous chicane at the Nürburgring. 175k, fourth gear, lots of curb on the right and the left, and then suddenly turn 14 appears and you have to get the car stopped once more, down to 60 kilometers an hour. First gear again, hard on the throttle for this last dash down the straight into turn number 15. Slightly downhill, the braking here, and there's a bump as well right at the end of the brake zone. The drivers don't like that, makes the car lurch forward just as you're trying to get to this apex. Then a tricky chicane, it's a quick right left, lots of curb will be used, and then track limits again on the exit there of 17. And that was 4.4 kilometers of Magny-Cours.
Thank you very much, Show on Sport, talking us around that lap. Gone in the blink of an eye. That's a McLaren, but we've got a McLaren on pole position, but the one from Garage 59, right-hand side of your screen on the pit wall side, Marvin Kirchhofer qualified not just on pole, but did it by more than half a second, Joe. It's an astonishing lap from the German racer.
It really was, and unfortunately for him and for McLaren, they've been lumbered with another 15 kilos of lead and also lost 20 millibar of boost. Just to put that into perspective, that's probably 2.5 to 3 tenths just in the boost. So that's definitely going to bring them back into the rest of the 37 cars behind them.
And yet, though, it's the fact the other cars are all behind them. We have lost 2 cars. We started the weekend with 40 runners. We've lost the Ford from HRT Ford Performance. And likewise, the 112, the sister CSA Racing McLaren, is not starting. He's at Tutumlu off into the wall last night in that they couldn't get that fixed. Driver feeling a little bit shaken. But what an array of cars here at Magny-Cours. This is the 4th of the 5 sprint rounds of the championship this year. We've still got Valencia to go, but we arrived here with next to no points difference, covering the top 3 runners in the pro class, just 1 point. But last night we had a little bit of an advantage going the way of Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Weerts. They're now sitting clear by 3 points. It may not seem much, but it's about consistent excellence that's going to win the championship.
Yeah, it really is. And with it being so evenly spread this year, the wins, it meant no one has got away banking those 16.5 points you get for a win. And Marvin being our first double pole sitter of the year shows you how competitive this field really is, all the way down the order, split evenly across the 4 different classes as well, represented here on the 38 field.
Yeah, it's absolutely packed, and there's been lots of activity around the entire weekend. 4 classes, and just to run through, we've got Chris Lallum and Thierry Vermeulen leading the gold class going to this race. Mex Janssen for Paradigm leading silver and bronze. It's Dustin Blattner and Dennis Marshall in control. But they've got to focus on their own races, focus most notably on that first corner, which is a very, very fast sweeper to the left-hand side. But here we are in the heart of France. Fans being packed in all 3 days of this meeting. And it's only right and good that we listen to the Marseillaise. So as the strains of the Marseillaise peel away, the grid still packed with people, 38 cars, and certainly more than 38 people down there, Joe. Different. Last night, of course, was in the fading light. We started late evening and ran into the darkness. We had the fireworks, but today feels very different. Track temperatures, ironically, very, very similar. But let's go down to the grid. And a driver who's just done an astonishing job is the driver on pole position. His name is Marvin Kirchhofer. 2 poles for him this year, and he's down with Alex Legge.
Marvin, you've been rapid all weekend. What is it about Magny-Cours that is suiting your car?
We expect it to be competitive in the first sector because obviously it's quite high speed, and as we know from other tracks, this car really works well in those corners. So yeah, definitely the high speed stuff, also the chicanes, the fast ones, 6, 7, 11 and 12, but also there's a challenge because we've got a track limits rule over there, so it's not easy to put it together, but these are the sections we really, really enjoy with this car.
Yeah, I feel like track limits is a bit of a theme, isn't it, of this weekend? Right beside you is number 63, who are showing very good pace over these last few rounds. Which one of you is quicker off the line?
Well, we try to stay where we are. I know Jordan. I mean, obviously, he's very experienced. Hopefully, we have some fun out there. This is what it's all about. We're here to enjoy this sport for the fans, for the team, for everyone. So just have some fun, and we make the best out of it.
Good. Go and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alex, there. So Marvin Kirchhofer, I'd say, looking quite comfortable and confident. And certainly, Joe, we just talked about the extra ballast that has come the way of McLaren over the course this weekend. You talked also about the boost adjustment, but we'll see how that plays out. But I would say his performance was enough that he should feel very, very confident going in. And, of course, the first corner is a real sweeper, but it's about setting yourself up to turn 3, the Estoril right-hander. And we had to get a lot of sorting out down there. Little hip and shoulder action in the first race, but let's see what happens this time around.
Yeah, the weight obviously affects the car negatively in every aspect. Braking, mid-corner, throttle, even the brake and the tyre wear as well. So it's going to be difficult for that McLaren today.
Certainly will. Well, let's take a look at the points that have been gathered across the season so far. And it's Mercedes top, 759 points. Just, there we are, just 33 points clear of Porsche. It's so close. And they, in turn, are only just clear of BMW. Ferrari trying to gain ground, but not managing yet. Audi down in 5th place. But Lamborghini have had a very, very good meeting so far. And they are closing in 6th place overall. We were due to have 9 manufacturers starting here today. As I just mentioned, 2 cars are not starting. And one of them is the 9th manufacturer. That's the Ford. Number 64 will not be taking part due to damage. But let's go back down to the grid, and a driver who's sitting pretty at the top of the championship is Charles Weerts. He's with Alex.
Charles, you are very much in the title fight. Are you quietly confident, or are you starting to feel the pressure?
We feel the pressure since the first race of the season, really. I mean, it's been an incredible tight championship so far. We are always, like you can see on the track, always fighting with the 48, with the 96. And yeah, they make us life quite hard because they make 0 mistake. So we also cannot allow ourselves to make any. They are really, really quick. And yeah, we are driving against the best team, the best drivers. So it's also up to us to deliver to that level. But so far, so good.
How is the car feeling? Looked like there might have been a little bit of a problem in quali.
Yeah, we struggled. I mean, already yesterday we were quite a bit off, even though the car is actually really good. But yeah, let's hope that we could find some pace here. Kelvin did a mega lap this morning, so hopefully now with the warmer conditions, maybe it can help us. Hopefully have a good start, and then let the guys in the pit crew do their magic, and hopefully we can again jump some places and see where we end up.
Good. Have a great race.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Charles Weerts, interesting points. He started 10th yesterday, came through to 3rd. That gave him an enlarged championship lead. But the team that's closest, Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel, are only starting 16th today. That's going to be a major ask. And really looking across the course of the championship so far, 7 races done, 7 different winners. It's absolutely phenomenal. But it's about getting on the podium every single time you can. And apart from 7th place in the opening round, Charles Weerts and Kelvin van der Linde have been 5th or higher and been on the podium on 4 of the 7 races. That is what you need to do to win the title.
Yeah, serial winners, driver and team, aren't they? WRT as well there. And that will be important as we go into the season end. Just Valencia to go 2 races there. So by the end of today, we're 80% done with the points to be scored. So it suddenly starts to get narrow. And the problem is when you're that far back down on the grid as well, that's where the accidents happen.
Well, I tell you what, we picked out someone down on the grid we'd very much like to hear from, Kelvin Burt.
Kelvin, nice to have you down here on the grid. Now, you have crossed a number of different championships and styles. Tell me, what is it that makes Magny-Cours so special as a driver and so challenging?
Well, it's challenging in these big GT cars because it's quite difficult to pass, to be honest. But thankfully, Marvin did a fantastic job. We've got our other car on the front row here. Louis and Tom yesterday won gold, so we're confident from both cars. Qualifying's really important, and in these sprint races, the teamwork, the pit stop is critical because there's nothing between the cars. So both of the guys did a fantastic job on the turnaround yesterday.
What impresses you most about the GT3?
So this is my first year with Garage 59. They are so professional. I've really been impressed. I didn't know anything about them. I've known Andrew and Chris Goodwin for a long time. We all raced together, but I'd never really been this close to the team, and I have to say I'm really impressed with how professional they are. I try and help, but to be honest, my contribution is small. I think it's key, but it's quite small.
I'm sure it is. Thank you for talking to us, Kelvin.
Kelvin Burt absolutely used to fly in the early 1990s in Formula 3, but you know what? You need a brains trust around teams. Team WRT worked that out years ago, and likewise, you just see in the background of the shot another advisor in the Garage 59 camp, Stefan Ortelli, and it might be down to just finding a 1/10 of a second, but we've seen how competitive the championship is, Joe, and that could be key.
Yeah, and that's what Kelvin Burt brings. He downplays it there. He coached me when I was younger. A huge encyclopedia of knowledge from being a professional driver for so many years at a top level, and that's exactly what he's doing there. As we look aboard the Valkenhurst, Aston Martin hasn't had the strongest of weekends thus far, has it? And that's really the theme for Aston Martin at the moment. Enrique Chavez there in 8th position, the highest Aston Martin, will be looking to at least get a top 6 out of today's race, I'm sure.
Yeah, now just if you weren't watching qualifying with us, it's very, very quick fire. It's only 10 minutes and a lot of drivers getting pinged for exceeding track limits, so that's why the order's shuffled up, and this is why a couple of drivers are a bit further back. You'd expect Maxime Martin there or thereabouts, but another Mercedes driver I mentioned earlier, 2nd in the championship, Mauro Engel down in 16th position. That is not the dream for the man filter, the bright yellow Mercedes. Yesterday got shoveled wide at the opening corner of the race, lost a handful of positions, but it is about not losing position, not losing track space. But if you're starting 16th, you've got to say your prayers before you go out racing. Yeah,
you're smack bang in the middle, aren't you? And that's where we saw incidents happen aplenty in the race yesterday, especially into turn 5, the Adelaide hairpin where Concertina's up. We saw 3 cars wiped out in Watson, and it was the Rivera 51 car got a podium taken away after it was harpooned by the 111 TSA McLaren on the opening lap.
Yeah, but we've got to get through turns 1, 2 and 3 first. But some great RT camera work there. The Emil Frey number 14 Ferrari, that's Constance Lappalainen and Ben Green. They've had some good results so far this year, but actually this weekend haven't really been featuring. They've had not their season's sort of in a bit of a lull, but we know through the course of the start of the season they've definitely got pace when they need it. But of course, at each of the rounds you have the balance of performance adjustments. You mentioned earlier about the extra weight being added. But let's just dive down for a last interview, and we're going to go down and hear from Klaus Graf, who's down alongside the Rutronic Porsche.
Klaus, lovely to get hold of you. Yesterday's pit stop was absolutely insane. How important is that going to be today?
It's going to be the same thing. It's very intense in sprint racing, and The strategy and the pit stop itself is an important piece, which is something we really like about the sprint series. And so it's going to be the same task for today. We are starting a little bit further back with a 96 car. So it's even more important today to have a clean and good pit stop.
Good. Very much in title battle though. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great interview there from Alex, because Klaus Graf, who you were mentioning earlier that Rutronic were going to likely put off a really good pit stop, they did precisely that. Let's take a look. Bronze class pole is Winward Racing. That's down on the 13th row of the grid. The silver class, it's Jamie Day, and he'll be starting from row number 9. And the gold class pole will be starting from 3rd on the grid, and that's Thierry Vermeulen. And the outright pole will be Marvin Kirchhofer, garage 59, car number 59. McLaren at the front of the field. So, track conditions, just double checking the temperature. Track temperature 25 degrees, air temperature just under 23 degrees. Comfortable, good for cars, good for drivers.
Yeah, perfect for a driver. You won't get too hot today, and it'll be max attack. There will be no looking after brakes whatsoever today.
So let's go down the grid. On the pit wall side at the start will be Marvin Kirchhofer at the garage 59 McLaren. On the grandstand side, Jordan Pepper in his Lamborghini. Then the gold pole, Thierry Vermeulen in his Ferrari. Another Ferrari alongside Arthur Leclerc. The second of the AF Corse Ferraris is the 5th on grid, Vincent Abril. And Kelvin van der Linde, championship leader, starts alongside him. Then Maxime Martin, best of the Mercedes. Enrique Chavez, best of the Aston Martins. Those are row 4. Then comes Ben Green in his Ferrari. Sandy Mitchell, fellow Brit, in his Lamborghini in 10th. Then Gilles Magnus has been threatening good results. Sven Muller was at the front of the race yesterday. He's starting 12th. Louis Pret, a good run for him yesterday in the gold class, starts 13th. Simon Gachet, home ground for him for CSA Racing in their remaining McLaren. Then Sebastian Ogard alongside Maro Engels, second in the championship, but starting down in 16th position. Then Ricky Collard and the silver pole to Jamie Day. He's had a really good meeting so far with Kobe Powells. Then Al-Faisal Al-Zubair alongside Cesar Gazot, another French driver looking to shine at home, but he's starting down on row 10. Alex Arca, they got knocked out early on yesterday. Max Janssen alongside him. Ishan Piris and Lawrence Lesserture, another young charger from Belgium. And then Rinat Salikov on pole for Winward Racing in the bronze class alongside Gilles Stadbader. The next row, Gabriel Rindone and the Qatari Ibrahim Al Abdul Ghani. Then we go back to Dmitry Gabatsava, who's alongside the bronze championship leader Dustin Blattner. Then comes Darren Lung, who was in the wars a little bit yesterday. Andrei Mukazov alongside him. Fabien Duffer, the second race meeting for UNX Racing, alongside Bashar Mardini, who won the bronze class last night. Marco Pulcino for Ziga Tempesto, Ricardo Battista. And then the final row of the grid, because we're missing 2. Baptiste Moulin in the Lamborghini and Jeff Michiels, who went off and set no time whatsoever. But the good news is his Ferrari has been repaired. We will have 38 cars starting this race. So just to refresh everyone's memory, pole position to a McLaren, that's Marvin Kirchhofer. Jordan Pepper alongside, best of the golds, 3rd on the grid. It's going to be tight. Will they all get through the first sweep, through turns 1 down to turn 3? And then will we have a repeat, or will everybody get through the hairpin up at Adelaide? Big questions.
And some big answers coming, lots of subplots. Remember, we've got to look all the way down the field across all 4 classes. The Red Bull Ferrari Verstappen.com car, that goes for overall, even though it's in gold, that's their own one. Here's Darren Long. He's got a lot of wrongs to right in his mind. He's fired up for penalties he feels aggrieved by. We've got the pole sitter from yesterday, the race winner Lamborghini, against that McLaren. Neither one of those two wants to yield into the corner that should favour the McLaren at turn 1.
Yeah, the McLaren starting on the pit wall side, going through turn 15 now. It's that tight right hand and then the quick flick, 16 and 17. But of course, the starter can choose when he's going to take the lights on the starting gantry from red through to green. We need Jordan Pepper to get alongside to make it proper 2x2 formation. Half the field just about now through. The rest still coming, and already an early throw. I thought yesterday's was quick, but absolutely being nailed at the start. Marvin Kirchhofer, 2-3 car lengths clear. What's happening in behind? The first 6 cars have made their break. This is looking good for getting the first grouping through. One of the Aston Martins being shoveled a little bit wide there. I think that was Jamie Day losing ground on the right-hand side of the screen. But now going through brilliant drone shots. They go through Estoril, the corner that keeps on going on. Oh dear, Enrique Chavez just somehow misses the tyre wall on the outside. 2 others followed him off on the exit of Estoril. Of course, you lose all momentum up the hill, but Kirchhofer has plenty of momentum and a bit of a move coming inside. 4th will become 3rd, and that's Team WRT, Kelvin van der Linde, and he knows he wasn't going to have pass too hard because Thierry Vermeulen isn't it. He's looking for gold points. He doesn't want to be shoveled out the way on the opening lap, but hasn't resisted yet. Vermeulen still hanging on, and I think that was pretty much off the track through turn 6 and 7. Down to 180 we go. Still the panels on most of the cars seem to be intact. That's good news.
Yeah, I think he's got to give that position back for Mullen. They were alongside, but the corner was going to be Van der Linde's if they ran side by side at that point. I'm surprised Mullen didn't defend into the hairpin, and it was Chavez, wasn't it, and the Emerald Frey car of Ben Green. They were starting 8th and 9th respectively. They've got together, both survived, and Chavez did a mega job keeping it out of the wall. I thought he was destined for that. Perfect start for Kirchhoff as well. Didn't have to defend one. Was Pepper on his heels? Did Kirchhoff go early? It will get reviewed, of course, but perfect start for the Garage 59 McLaren.
And yesterday, of course, with their red and yellow Ferraris, had Alessio Rivera spun around on the opening lap. This time, the Chargers are to Leclerc and Vincent Abril in the car he shared with Rivera, running 3rd and 4th, and they've got round the opening lap. That's good news. At the end of the lap, it's 0.8 of a second. The margin Marvin Kirchhofer has over Jordan Pepper. McLaren ahead of Lamborghini. Thierry Vermeulen still holding on in 3rd place, but I do feel that incident where he went off at turn 6 and 7 across the curbing and came back on the track will probably lead to a review.
Yeah, agreed. Engel with a great start. Janssen as well behind him, 4th and 9 places gained respectively. First 3 starting to pan out. Going to be interesting to see if there's any investigation for that 69 Ferrari in shot now.
Right, you talked about Chavez and Green going off. They respectively lost 11 and 14 positions, but that incredible start by Max Janssen, 9 places gained, 22nd up to 13th. Yeah, a little bit of helping hand up in front of him with 2 or 3 cars running off, but great job in his Paradigm Motorsport BMW.
Yeah, the 2 AF Course Ferraris. It's one thing being teammates, but they're neighbours as well. Both Monegasque drivers there, Charles Leclerc and Vince Abril, both lost a place apiece to that BMW. And I'm sure Van der Linde will be on the radio as well, questioning was that move legal by Vermeulen. And yeah, Chavez will be upset there. We said Aston Martin being on the back foot, but that has really ruled out a strong result for that car today.
Yeah, it certainly has, but looks around this lap as though just a little bit of more margin is being created by our race leader, Marvin Kirchhofer, in his McLaren for Garage 59. Everybody else very much nose to tail, still in 3rd place. Thierry Vermeulen still looking for any notification about whether he's going to be pinged for running off the track and coming on at the Nürburgring chicane, the downhill chicanes, turn 6 and 7. There he is with the Red Bull sponsorship, bouncing over the curbing. Lap number 2 about to be complete, just under a second clear now. Marvin Kirchhofer just finding a tenth and a half around that lap, but everybody else neat and tidy in behind. Just going down through the classes. 3rd place is the lead in gold. That's Thierry Vermeulen. You can see from the graphic on the left screen. Mac Janssen with that brilliant start up to 13th overall, leads the silver class, and bronze. Rinat Salikov in his Mercedes. He is down in 25th position overall.
See a battle here between the Retronic Porsche and the CSA McLaren, much further down the field than both of those would want to be, and damage there on the front of Darren Lung and on the rear. That's 3 awful races in a row for that pouting BMW, and I think that's going to get retired.
Well, let's take a look and see how it happened. Well, this could be a contributing factor up at Adelaide. He's alongside the QMMF Audi, and then that's Dimitri Gubetsava, who is doing a bit of lawn mowing on a Sunday, unfortunately.
Get a good view here. So there's contact with the Audi that we come from a long way back on. I think we pick up a rear right puncher now, and he's trying to get the car gone, and we can't turn, and then we clip the back of that Audi as well. So it was a long way back on the Audi, wasn't it? I think that one's on Darren Long. I need to look at it, but we just made it too late of a lunge and contact there. And the problem is he was further back on the grid than he wanted to be because of the penalty from yesterday. Yeah,
it's a litany of woes in many ways. Right, the first 3 seem to be now quite comfortable in their positions. I'd actually think on this lap it looks though Jordan Pepper may be just starting to close back in a little bit. It was just under a second, but a great battle. Yesterday it was a battle between the Rutronic Porsche number 6 and the 63 Lamborghini. Today the roles have been swapped, and Marvin Kirchhofer's got the 59 McLaren. Yeah, it's down to just over half a second clear. Good response from Jordan Pepper in the Lamborghini. Yeah, they're bringing Vermeulen with them though as well. He's less than a second behind Pepper, respectively, as the cars stream through now. Look at all these cars. We've still got 37 cars flying through. And through they come. We're going to go all the way down the order. There's the bronze leader, 26th position overall, Winwood Racing, Rinat Salikov, and he's got Marvin Deans, who'll be a very handy driver in the second part of the race. Let's just look ahead fleetingly while it's balanced very nicely here. We've got a longer pit window than normal. Normally it's 10 minutes, and at this meeting it's been divided. Golds and pros come in for the first 5 minutes, and then the silvers and bronze in the second 5 minutes. Now they're getting 7.5 minutes each, so the first pit stop could start after 22.5 minutes this race, rather than the regular 25. We'll look out for that. Bit of bodywork in the track. That's clearly something that came off in that moment with Darren Lung. He's got most of the BMW back to the pits, but clearly a bit sitting out there on the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, Darren Lung has headed back out, so they just put a tyre on the car. Even the bodywork damage, they're happy to send it down at Paradigm, and that was the Audi with the contact. Doesn't look to have too much damage, but is right in the middle of this bronze car battle as we see top speed overall. That would be before they break into turn 5. Contact there. Blattner into the back of the Lamborghini. That car of Blattner was on pole position from bronze, got a penalty for qualifying, so he's further back, and there's definitely damage on the front of that Ferrari. Did it do anything to the Lamborghini? Blattner looks in a hurry.
No, he certainly does. And I said earlier it was Givert Sava off the track. It was another Lamborghini. It was Ekelchik's car at the tail of the field that was bouncing across the grass in that moment with Darren Lung. Really now starting to see some progress from Maxime Martin right on the tail of Vincent Abril. And that is looking as though Martin wants a bit of a move on. He's in the silver, dark red and yellow boots and VDS Mercedes, and taking a totally different line as they try to battle for position down the start-finish straight. Pair of Audis. On the outside, it's 99, and that's Alex Sarko, who's had an awful weekend so far. Didn't even get to race yesterday. His car was taken out early on, but having a really good scrap. But unfortunately, as he was fighting, he's lost position. The Ferrari going around the outside of him. So that was Ben Green starting to make up ground after his ride out over the grass, the gravel and everything on the exit of turn 3 on the opening lap.
Yeah, and you can see Chavez in the Aston Martin. They were the cars that clashed. He's a couple of places ahead. Ben Green trying to get that done as we go for the slow-mo. Look at that whole front axle in the air as Kirchhoffer smashes the McLaren. Same for Pepper in the Lamborghini. Then you can see Vermeulen in the background avoiding the curbs, slightly more than the lead 2 at the moment. But then he has a huge heap of it here, and you can see the shortest distance is the fastest as all the deflection goes through the bodywork. And there's a problem. We saw that car off in qualifying, didn't we? And now Jeffrey McKeels looks like he's been spun around at the Adelaide hairpin.
Some days, some weekends, it just doesn't go your way. There was plenty of place from them in practice, but it's not going well at all. Right, first 3 cars coming down the hill. Still Marvin Kirchhoffer leading. Looks like he's regained his equilibrium again, and he's stretching his advantage over Jordan Pepper's Lamborghini, but Jordan very, very deep into turn 15 there. Here they come bursting out of the final corner, 16 and 17 onto the start-finish straight. A really good run from Thierry Vermeulen in the gold class Ferrari, sitting on his own, but he's being chased down by Kelvin van der Linde. We had that moment on the opening lap. Kelvin, the door was open, he came through up at the Adelaide hairpin. And then what happened at turns 6 and 7, the Nürburgring chicane, we rather thought that Vermeulen should have, as he left the track, should have given the position back. Nothing has come on our screen, so that has clearly gone by the by. And what's happened since then is van der Linde's fallen back, and, or more to the point, Vermeulen's going away from him.
Yeah, van der Linde getting caught by Leclerc as well in the red Ferrari, the yellow stripe on the nose. Vermeulen has done 2 track limits so far. They're allowed to do 5. The 6th will be a penalty, and it's for the whole car, so it doesn't get reset in the pit stops. And like you said, the pit window will be open for the Pro and the Gold class cars after 22.5 minutes. That could be as few as 14 laps. So on your timing tower on the left, if they've got a white or yellow background, they can pit after 22.5 minutes. If it's the silver, the blue coloured background, or bronze. I just want to try and find Max Jensen in that red BMW going around the outside of turn 1. He's just behind Jamie Day, who kicks up the dust. And let's try and spot Chavez and Ben Green as well. What happens to them on the exit here? I'm just trying to spot exactly, and I can't quite spot it from that angle.
What I saw there was Chavez got a little bit twitchy. He was tight on the inside, and it was like almost the magic white line. He just skittered over to the left, and that's where Ben Green was. And even though Ben Green had been ahead, suddenly he put the 2 of them off, and they bounced through the gravel. And there was an Audi that went for a moment behind them on the opening lap out of turn 3. No moments whatsoever for Marvin Kirchhoffer, looking comfortable. He's only got half a second clear. Super Somo, even at full speed, it's brilliant as you get the cars bouncing over the curbing, but we did see some big moments yesterday over those.
Vermeulen suddenly has no pace whatsoever, and has steadied the ship slightly on the last lap, but has lost 0.6 on that lap and is now doing the same pace as the BMW behind of van der Linde. So as the tyres gone off, do they go aggressive on the strategy to get the good start for that Ferrari? Now he's got to fight till the pit window. Luckily for him, it's not too far away. 12 minutes more of pain potentially for the 69 car.
Yeah, and don't forget, for those running at the tail of the field in the bronze class, it's the bronze driver who's starting, and they will want to come in as soon as they can when their pit window opens to give their pro driver a bit more. Now let's take a look. Riding on board the car in second place, Jordan Pepper with his Lamborghini from Grasser Racing Team. Took victory last night. Now this is the view down through turns 6 and 7 to the 180. It's the left-hander, and as you say, a corner of infinite lines. Look at the telemetry between those two cars.
Yeah, you couldn't see a more different line if you tried there. Kershaw are running wide, but the time gain very minimal either way. These cars are in a field of their own at the moment, in the 37s, the only cars doing that, and well in the 37s as well. As you can see them fight through that chicane there, then get it back to the left. You can see the gear differences in times, both down to first gear. Here though, all the cars homologated with their gear sets. You can't change throughout the year, so whatever the car is given, you have to play with. So the manufacturer's relatively similar on those gears. Top speed seems to be slightly in favour of that McLaren.
Yeah, and just looking at the second timing sector, it starts just before we go into the Adelaide hairpin. It ends as you're approaching the uphill Imola chicane, and that was the sector on this lap where suddenly Marvin Kirchhofer has found a chunk of time. He was the best part of 0.4 of a second quicker there. That means at the end of this lap, he's 0.949 of a second clear. So suddenly gave him just that little bit of breathing space. When you're just half a second clear, the car behind may get a tow. Now, Joe, what's the discussion coming out of Estoril? It's such a long drag up here, but what is the tow like up somewhere like the run?
So you have to be within a second. Pepper's there, 9/10 or so. So the tow will be worth a 1/10.5, 2/10 on these longer straights. But then you're in the dirty air. So anything third gear and above, you then start to lose out because you are in the slipstream and not getting the downforce. So Pepper will be happy where he is at the moment. He's getting a slight tow on the straight line, but the dirty air not affecting his car too much. And he thinks he's probably in a place where he thinks I'm not going to get past Kershaw here. So my job is to look after this car as best I can and pit as close as possible and hand it over to Luca Entschler, who will then take the fight to Benji Girth, who takes over from Kershaw from that McLaren. Benji Girth has had an amazing season, has really stepped up now and can fight against the fastest GT drivers in the world.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, every car in the field has two drivers. It's how, if you get a really good balanced pairing who are both very, very happy with the car, then all is good. Still bunches of cars all the way around the track at the moment, but now let's take a look. The bright yellow and green car, the man-filter Mercedes, started down in 16th. Maro Engel has gained places, but only up to 12th overall. In behind him, the red, white and black BMW is the leader in the Silver Cup class. It's Max Janssen, the Paradigm BMW driver. In behind him, just 3/4 of a second back, is the car second in class. Jamie Day, the number 21 Aston Martin. Then Cesar Gazzo in the number 10 Boots and VDS Mercedes, almost nose to tail in the battle for silver class honours, 13th through to 15th places.
Yeah, and it was a start, wasn't it, for Janssen? He got past Jamie Day, who ran wide at turn 1, and he took that class lead, and pace looked strong from easily staying with Engel in front. We see a battle here between the 19 Grasser car and the 27 Audi going in deep there. Dustin Blattner has escaped that Lamborghini in shot as well for the bronze class, so that's another position gained, and he's just outside the podium position in bronze now.
Yeah, in fact, as you said, that suddenly the number 27 Audi lost a handful of positions. That's the one with the dark colours of Qatar on its nose, the dark red and white livery. So suddenly the number 74 Kessel Racing Ferrari up to 3rd in class. But Rinat Salikov in the Aquamarine Winwood Racing Mercedes still in the lead of the bronze class. But only, well, in fact, by a good margin, by 5 seconds. So he's got the job done early on. He's got Marvin Dienst waiting in the wings. There it is. Dienst not yet in the car. Salikov definitely the driver on board the Winwood Racing Mercedes, leading comfortably. Lion Speed, they've had a good meeting so far. Ricardo Feller is waiting to take over from teammate Gabriel Rendon, and likewise Dennis Marshall, the driver who provisionally had pole for the opening race until his times were taken away. He's fast. He's waiting to take over from Dustin Blattner in the car that's had 2 class victories so far in the Bronze Club.
Just looking at the sector times, Kershaw is the ultimate fastest in 1, then it's Pepper in 2, then it's Vermeulen in 3. So the first 3 all sharing the sectors. So let's have a look at the replay here. And it's the 3rd car in shot, the blue Ferrari against the orange BMW, and it has been given a penalty for this. We thought at the time that was cutting the corner and gaining an advantage. It's taken 15 minutes for that penalty. The 5 seconds added at the moment, is that penalty worth it? It's not, because Van der Linde's only 1.7 seconds behind, but Vermeulen there to a judge to cut the corner, and I think correctly given a penalty.
Yeah, and again, once you've got these fantastic drone shots, it rather removes the excuses you could have had even half a decade ago. But I think with 5 seconds added, Vermeulen's car, bear in mind, it's way out clear in the Gold Cup class from Gilles Magnus, who's 6 positions further back. But 5 seconds added to that time will put him in effectively about 6th position rather than 3rd.
Yeah, and something for the leaders to contend with down Lung, who had to pit for that punctured tyre, is going to suddenly be a bit of a roadblock, I think, for them. Darren doing 39s and the leaders doing 37s, so that's going to happen in the next lap as we go on board the 21. Aston Martin, Jamie Day, 2nd in silver, was pole position, and there's the lead car in front, Max Janssen, and there's the pace comparison, very tight. Less than a 10th over the last 3 laps, just 12 hundredths on lap 7, 58 hundredths lap 8, and then 77 hundredths the previous lap. And again, I think he'll just be settling in. It was a strong stint for this car at the start of the race by Kobe Powell's, Jamie Day's teammate, so he will be pretty confident that even pairing you're talking about, this 21 car definitely has that in the silver class.
Yeah, they look very, very comfortable as day turned to night, or evening turned to night last night. But right, track position. This is a really fantastic flowing circuit. But I must say, for Paradigm Motorsport, with the big problem, for Paradigm Competition, big problem for the 991, the sister car. But 992, here it is, leading the way in the Silver Cup class. 13th overall, but it's got Jamie Day tucked in under his rear wing. Let's listen to some team radio for 32.
You need to raise the target. I think target 60. Next to target 60. That's not bad. All good. Do your job for me. Yeah, nice and close.
What's your read from that then, Joe?
They're too low. They must be talking about the pressures, the only thing. It was relatively coded there between Kelvin, Van der Linde and the engineer Will McKelvey there. So, yeah, they're not happy with something. They were one of the fastest cars in the pit stop. It was actually the sister car had the fastest pit stop from WRT. So they'll be happy to box. And that box window opens very shortly, doesn't it? 4 minutes or so away. So the teams will be on that as they have now completed 10 laps.
Yeah, and this decision to split the fields so you have fewer cars in the pit at the same time, and then it's been that was a good decision. I think it's an interesting decision, and it means that nobody in the gold or pro class is going to trip up anyone in the pits who's in silver or bronze, but it does give more space in the pit lane. So 2 groups of 7.5 minutes of pit window opening times, but we will see how that pans out. But right now, nobody has got any answers to Marvin Kirchhofer. Jordan Pepper's still there, but he's now 1.5 seconds down in 2nd place. He in turn has got nearly 3 seconds clear of Thierry Vermeulen, but then Vermeulen's car, 69 Emil Frey Racing Ferrari, knows it's got a 5-second time penalty to be added. Oh, and a drive-through penalty now for car number 19. That was Baptiste Moula for causing a collision.
Yeah, what happens here? This is the bronze car battle, isn't it, between Rodone and Blacknaz. A huge snap of oversteer. The 19 car gets through. That's not what the penalty's for, of course.
No, not for that at all. But it's just, well, I mean, gosh, when you suddenly have a car snap sideways coming out of Adelaide, anyone behind is going, how much of the track are you going to use? I need some of that.
Yeah, the only contact I've seen with that car potential was into that corner, wasn't it, with the Qatari Audi a few laps back, which lost the place, and there they are serving their drive-through penalty, 249.5 metre pit lane, 18-second time loss. Not the worst of the season, but that really rules them out of any result there in the 19 car.
You'd have to say so. They were starting on the final row of the grid, so they didn't think they'd be gathering points by the bucket load. But it's an hour-long race with the pit. And now, wow. Dustin Blackner is a massive fighter, isn't he? Just loves a scrap, and he's getting really, really stuck in. And right alongside him, the Lion Speed GP car pushing and letting him through. Gabriel Rindone resisting, but could only do it so long. The Ferrari from Kessel Racing has had pace all weekend. Right, you've won them all. And here we are, 27 years later, doing up someone's zip. That's the life of Stefan Ortelli.
Yeah, always worrying when a race driver's about to get in a £500,000 car and can't do their suit up. But Tom Fleming, winner last year here, of course, in the Silver Cup in a Ferrari, as we see 2 Audis going at it, and it's about to be 3, isn't it? 2 Tresor cars with a Santaloc meat sandwich there. This battle is great. Outside the top 20, 2 silver cars there, side by side. This is going to rage on. Aka does well to keep it out the gravel there versus Lecouchier, and this is going to rage on into the next break zone.
Yeah, busy, busy, busy. And this is a track where you've got various potential points at which you can pass. Nothing is a gift, but there is space to play at certain points. And for Alex Zarco and his teammate Ezekiel Perez Compact, came here really well positioned in the championship. And it does look as though front left. Is that bodywork rubbing on, well, what's left of the bodywork rubbing on the front of Darren Lung's car, and that's not looking quite so sweet.
No, that's had a tough day, and that's now in the pack of cars. So Darren will be getting out the way, I'm sure, but he's also got to try and keep a pace so he doesn't then hold up more cars more quickly. And yeah, once you've gone a lap down, it's pretty galling, and you just want to kind of call it there and get to the airport.
You staying around to the end of the race, Joe?
I might do. I'll let you know how it goes.
Very good of you. See how you go. But right, Barwell, haven't seen too much of them over the course this weekend, but good to see in the middle of the pack. Looking for position, Jamie Day still trying to make up ground. 14th place, he's second in class, 3/4 of a second down on Max Janssen. In the other parodying competition, BMW, they're running 13th and 14th, and Cesar Gazzo is falling away, 3rd place in the class. Riding on board 21, that's the car we're mentioning. Jamie Day's Come To You Racing, Aston Martin. Here's the view, he's got people up ahead. What they also know up ahead, a minute and a half away, is the pit window will open for its new look, longer divided pit window session. It'll be 15 minutes in all. Benji Goethe waiting to take over from Marvin Kirchhofer. Marvin now, get this, 3 seconds clear. A blink of an eye ago, he was 1.5 seconds clear. Was there interruption going past a car as a lap was being put on some of the tail enders? Quite possibly. Looking at the last lap, he gained 4/10 of a second on that lap alone. I think the one before he must have gained a similar amount. When I say him, I'm talking about Marvin Kirchhofer. Pole, and it's most likely he's going to be in from the lead of the race whenever he feels like it.
And Engel having to defend from the silver class car there of the sort of the hero of the stint, Max Janssen, I would say, in the 992 parodying car. There's the other parodying car, not had the hero stint there, as Chavez lost all those places on the opening lap on the exit of the corner, where just at and hasn't had the pace to fight back from his starting position. As we go on board with another Aston Martin, this time Jamie Day. We've seen him on the back of Janssen at times. Engel going in really deep there. That's going to be a drag race between the BMWs. Janssen going to try and get round. Engel closes the door, squeezes him to the grass. Janssen now goes to the outside. The BMW top of the speed traps and decides to cut in behind. That would have been a track limit there. Is he going to try and overtake? Would that be a gain and advantage? He decides against it, but Engel thinks he's got to defend here. Engel, I expect to box at the end of this lap. Now the pit window is open for the gold and the pro class car. So Janssen is the first car that cannot pit because he's in the silver class. So the whole of the top 12 cars, I think, will box this lap.
And what is so great for someone like Matt Janssen, 19-year-old Dutch racer, is the fact he's suddenly going against someone who's got titles galore and proving at this point in the race, as you're quite right, Marvin Kirchhofer comes in from the lead of the race.
So the only car that won't pit will be Vince Abra, I think. You can't box both your cars at once. There's only one rig between two cars, so he'll have to stay out. Vermeulen staying out as well, interestingly, there. So how quickly can they service these cars? The quickest pit stops are done in 16 or 17 seconds. Garage 59 were good yesterday, but this is a proper race with Grasser, who had a problem with the front left, didn't they? They were 22 seconds there. Will it be clean? This is a proper race in pit road.
Yeah, yesterday the Lamborghini lost around 4 seconds with that front left problem, came back out in second place, and Jordan Pepper was doing the second stint yesterday, then put an amazing charge, caught Sven Muller and passed and got the job done. That looked neat and tidy from Garage 59. Tucked in behind is the Grasser Lamborghini, but they're 3 seconds apart when they came into the pits.
I feel it was a slow stop for WRT. We'll get the data on that. We don't say that very often at all, but I feel the gap, Charles Wirtz, of course, he had Vermeulen in between him and that GRT Grasser Lamborghini on the right of your shot, and they slotted in well there. The teams will have looked at their timing to see where cars slot in after losing 47 seconds or so stopping in the car. Kirchhofer very happy, and the team happy with his stint as well.
Yeah, he can put his helmet back in the container at the back of the garage and then go and enjoy and see if his teammate Benji Goethe can make it 2 wins in what would be the space of 3 races, having won, but only by half a second, the second of the 2 races at Misano at the most recent meeting before this for the GT World Challenge Sprint Series. But must say, looking good, looking neat, looking tidy. But wait till everyone's run through their pit stops. About 8 cars have been in thus far. So the next time around, a whole gaggle more. We have about a similar number coming in next time around. And then once we've got past the half-hour mark in this race, which is 5 minutes away, then the bronze and silver racing ranked drivers come in. So Terry Vermeulen into the first pit garage, and he'll be handing over to Chris Lullum. And Chris, of course, had a really good start yesterday, but got stuck behind the spun Alessia Rivera on the opening lap at Adelaide, and having been up in about 4th position, suddenly was down in 10th, and it didn't come their way after that.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on the leaders. They're coming through turn 14 now, so a couple of more corners to go. Is Vermeulen going to slot back into his 3rd place after the leader here of the McLaren is getting held up, isn't he? This is going to be interesting. So they haven't slotted into the best bit of space, and Lullum slightly slow getting away, trying to avoid that mechanic. But yeah, this will be back to the McLaren, who's going to just shoot through now.
You'd have to say, right, whatever happens in the pit stop, you just got to show your pace immediately after that. The McLaren's been looking very, very handy. We'll wait and see exactly how they stack together.
They lost 5 seconds in the pits again, Emil Frey. They were quicker yesterday, but that has been an Achilles heel for them this year. And did Ludham just cross the white line on pit exit there? You can't touch it, let alone cross it. And he's right in the battle here with Neubauer. There's contact. Is that going to be a rear right puncher potentially for Ludham, who was at fault? It was a hard pit exit there. I think it was a racing incident. Looks like he's got a puncher. Rear right is gone.
Good spot. Cruel luck for Chris Ludham there, but you can see he's spotted it. He gets the Adelaide hairpin. Of course, it's right at the start of the lap. He's got a limp the whole way around. But take a look, the pit window's still open, but the track not quite open enough for both of those Ferraris to go through. And certainly Thomas Neubauer wasn't waiting for a second invitation.
Yeah, I think it's on Neubauer, the second one time I've looked at it. I thought they were more even, but Ludham is slower because he's coming out of pit lane, but Neubauer has to lift out of the throttle, and that's the second time Ludham has had a very difficult out lap. We had the same thing at Brands Hatch with Vince Aber and the sister AF course, Ferrari, of course, but let's listen on 992.
I feel like I've got an issue with the grip on the front there, which is what caught me out, but trying to tell the fans.
Yeah, copy that. We have picked up a very slow puncher, but I'm monitoring it. It will last until the pit window.
Copy.
So half the field yet to make it pit stop, but it's the big question of who is going to blink first in the silver class. And before the pit stops, it's Max Janssen. We've been watching his 992 BMW, but tucked in behind, now running fourth, third and fourth. The car in fourth is the car that's been keeping him very honest. It's the Come2You Racing Aston Martin. Jamie Day just a few licks of paint behind the BMW in his Aston Martin. Cesar Gazo, third in class, he's fallen away by about 3 seconds. So really, in the silver class, it's now down to the mechanics.
Yep, WRT service in the Al Manamar car there, 777. They're so close to pit exit, barely get up to the 50 kilometers an hour, and it looks like Garage 59 are pulling away at the moment. Where can this 777 car slot into, as Ludham now has to pit with that rear right puncher, and yeah, expect a penalty for the 50 car for causing that puncher.
Yeah, just double checking. There are some incidents have no further action required to be taken. Other crews gaining track limit offences left, right and centre. Suddenly feels like the first lap of the race again, and then just clattering the Unix Porsche. Is that the number 270 Aston Martin he hit? It wasn't Jamie Day, so it's the one down towards the tail of the field with Batista at the wheel. Side on, Ricardo Batista, one of the Brazilian drivers of that. So this track up at turn 5, the Adelaide hairpin, there's always an opportunity, but it doesn't always work.
The bronze drivers have suddenly woken up, and now there's a huge 5-6 car battle that looked a bit lungy from Baptista, in my opinion. Dufay had to open the lock and still had contact, and now we see the Lamborghini defending from the Audi. Both got V10 naturally aspirated engines, but very different from there onwards in a lot of regards, and it just feels like at the moment Gavazza has no pace whatsoever as Jeff McKills then gets down the inside of Basha Mardini, wishes him wide. Is that going to give Pulcini a chance? But now he's having to defend from Laspalainen in that Ben Green car that was delayed at the start.
Going in the bronze class, it looks as though we're looking at the cars on the first or possibly the second lap of the race. Suddenly they've all come together. Maybe they're thinking, I've got to just excel before the pit stop. Jeff McKeel's kicking the tail out of his red and green AF Corsa Ferrari as he's pressing on, but it hasn't been a dream meeting for them. But the pit window will be open for them in 1 minute's time.
Yep, so they will all box at the end of this lap. All the bronze cars right now have the bronze drivers in, so they want to hand over to their faster pro drivers as soon as they can. There's so many classes getting held up by each other here, isn't it? And that's, again, the importance of being further up the field. You don't get drops into it, and you can see the 58 car there, Fleming, really getting held up at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely so. You've got to just look on track. Where is our race leader? And effectively race leader, because we're waiting for this lot to come and serve their pit stops. Looking for the number 59 McLaren as Joe puts his head in his hands as the cars go up. The Zigo Tempesta Ferrari losing out a little bit up there at turn 5.
The problem with the staggered pit stop and stopping the Golden and Pros is they've dropped behind the bronze class cars, so this is for position. There's going to be no blue flags. The bronze cars are in front. Why? Because they've not done their pit stop. So this is why suddenly it's been a kicking off. I like watching it. I would be pretty aggrieved if I was one of these pros trying to work my way back through these bronze drivers roughly 1.5–2 seconds a lap slower, which I'm not being derogatory about. These are proper humans with jobs against the pro driver, which is what they're paid to do.
Wow. introduced some jeopardy. It most certainly has. So the effective race leader is the McLaren, third in that batch of cars. But what's happened on this lap? Suddenly the number 63 Lamborghini has got a whole lot closer. Up the order they go. Benji Goethe, Luca Engstler, 1.3 seconds between them, and the pace, or more to the point, the pace through the traffic has been in the advantage of the Lamborghini driver, and still that number 59 McLaren is bottled up, and now Zigo Tempesta and all the other bronze drivers coming in. The track will be clear, but that has been something that when it looks as though there was a getaway, Joe, it's hauled them right back in.
Yeah, and we see the AF Course team pit the 93 car. Eddie Cheever will get aboard this line speed team going to work as well. All 4 tyres have to be changed, only 2 mechanics and the driver change. You can see a seat insert being changed there. The seat doesn't move. The pedals can move for the height of the driver, but then the width has to be addressed with that seat insert. Now we see Dennis Marshall, who was on pole position yesterday, wasn't he, before he lost it to track limits. He will now be chasing down that Winward Mercedes, making his escape by what I'd say is 4 to 5 seconds in front.
Yeah, Marvin Dietz pulling out first, and then Dennis Marshall, 2 young German racers on the charge, and really the rest of the bronze class and some of the silver runners coming out. Still that number 80 Lion Speed GP Porsche sitting at a standstill. That would be Ricardo Feller. That seems a long one.
Yeah, they've got to be stationary, in pit lane for 53 seconds, so roughly stationary for 38, but that is a problem. He's not happy with something, radio not in or a belt with getting a view here. Looks like the top left belt not done, and that's a huge amount of time. Fella there just couldn't find it, I guess, because normally as a pro you can do it yourself fully, but that must have been tucked up behind him, and that is going to be well over their minimum pit stop time as they cross the beam now. 1 minute and 22 seconds, so they have lost nearly 30 seconds in the pits.
Wow. I mean, to get back 3 seconds in the remaining bit of the race is a bit of an arse, but 3 seconds is more than we have between the first 2 cars. It's the Lamborghini number 63 from Grasser Racing, winner last night, getting right on the tail of Marvin Kirchhoffer's car that is now in the hands of his teammate Benji Goethe. No one else in around them. Third place car is the BMW in the background, and that is, about 5 or 6 seconds further back. And that is Charles Weerts. He's got no one around him, but this is the battle. It's purified right down to the lead battle, first and second, going over the curb, 6 and 7, neat, tidy, and unbelievably quick. But bear in mind, this battle was created by the back markers in front before their pit stops, and they're still battling. The bronze drivers, they change over to others. The number 66 Audi from Fraser Attempto, Dylan Pereira being shoveled off the circuit down at Estoril, turn 3.
Don't hit your teammate, don't hit your teammate, and that rule wasn't there. Which motor oil are you going to put in your car tomorrow morning? Is it going to be Gulf Oils? Is it going to Liqui Moly? Both of these won our Rover Motor Oil pole positions this weekend. It feels like there's a theme going on here at the moment. I'm liking the look of the pace of Engstler. He seems to have reeled in Goethe, but that McLaren very quick at the end of the straights. Is that going to be enough to hold on for another McLaren victory? We haven't had a repeat winner, have we, yet this year in the Sprint Series? Is it going to be one of these to do the double over the last 2 rounds?
Okay, worth just reiterating exactly that. We've had 7 races across, well, we're at the 4th round, 7 different winners, and these 2 have both won one, so you're absolutely right. It could be theirs. If it doesn't go to them, and the Lamborghini make it easy up the inside, shoveling the tail of the McLaren round, but the move is not completed.
No, the rear tyre looks to be gone on Goethe already. Locked the rears on the way in. That left the gap. Engstler filled it. And the racing incident for me, Engstler was on the inside, always going outwards. Goethe held his ground fairly. So is there any damage on either of those? Probably just about escaped it. It looked pretty wheel to wheel. Engstler now starting to get racy, isn't he? And there's some cars in front as we go get the drive out of here. There's going to be some back markers. Is it going to even be needed? This could be Engstler. Next corner's a right.
Breathe in, breathe everybody, make your cars narrow. Engstler's not backing out. He's put it up the inside there. And Goethe, well, we'll wait for the drone shot to see who had how many, but I would suggest the 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels are off the circuit there at turn 6.
This is kicking off. He's just loading them up there. Engstler not happy as he lost his head. Goethe, I think, is going to get the same penalty as Vermeulen there. Bring back gravel traps. You shouldn't be able to jump across chicanes like that, in my opinion. But Engstler, I think, lost his head there in the brake zone. Just shoveled into the back of Goethe. No need. You've got the pace, Luca. Chill. You've got this done, even if that car doesn't get a penalty. 25 minutes remaining. This is kicking off. Looking behind, what's Weerts doing? He's catching by a couple of tenths of the lap. It's not enough at the moment. He's only 3.8 behind.
Yeah, you know what? It could come to Weerts. He could suddenly be in the lead if these 2 clash again. If penalties go their way as well, that's certainly a possibility. Cutting, something's gone off just in front of him, or something with bodywork smoking perhaps dived into the pits. But just another distraction. The car in front of them is a Trezor Tempto Audi. No problems from that car. It must have been something going to the pits or someone having a spin.
Yeah, I think it's the Qatari one, and they're going to have to get past him this lap. Here's a replay of it. So I think Engstler has the move done because he's got the inside. If there is a solid concrete wall on the inside, word Benji Goethe stay there. Goethe's half a car width, then it goes to level in the brake zone, and he just carries that speed through. But then I think there's contact under braking into the next corner. I think Engstler just loads him up and is forcing him out there. They're both running deep, and that is real. That's rental karting stuff with 1.2 million euros worth of GT3 car.
Well, caught beautifully, but this one's going to run and run. But just remember, in yesterday's race, the Lamborghini just seemed to have the form at the end of the race, but it has been shoveled with a lot more weight overnight to ping it back. And since the start of the weekend, the Lambo's had 95, I kid you not, 25 kilos added to its payload, and that will have an effect. But at the moment, nobody has an answer to the pace of the McLaren. Nobody has an answer to the pace of this car. Riding on board, the car in second place. Will it stay in second place? Luca Engstler doesn't fancy second at all.
Bertz is flying. The gap now down to 2.5. I'm looking at the stint averages on HH timing, and Benji Goethe has 0 pace right now. His average is a 38.9. That's the slowest inside the top 12 cars. So this could really start to bunch up. Then you add traffic into it. I think we're going to have that BMW on the back of this pack in the next 2.5 laps.
Well, we heard from them earlier. We think, was it them talking about the tyre pressures? I think it was. Number 32, Team WRT, BMW. Now, what's up ahead is the QMMF Audi, and they're going to need to find that. He's going to have another lap, put a lap put on him, but is he going to interrupt this lead battle? Down the start-finish straight we go. We're running in second place with Luca Engstler, the Lamborghini from Grasso Racing, last night's winner, through the little kink at turn 2, then turning right into SRO. Will the Audi stay on the outside? Whose progress is it going to interrupt more? Actually, it looks fairly even. I think luckily the Audi was probably a few car lengths. If it'd been a few car lengths further back, it certainly would have affected race leader Benji Goethe.
The pressure getting to Pepper. Is he going to crack just watching this? And I think the McLaren of Goethe is just going to slide down the inside of the Audi, so it's going to be advantage him for time loss with that Qatari Audi. Engstler sends it down the inside. That was high risk, so he had to do it. He fell. But look at the traffic in front. It isn't just him. We've still got Baptista in the car in front, although I think the driver ID hasn't changed on that, and I expect that to be Rafael Suzuki now.
Yeah, certainly should be. And then just up ahead of him is Dylan Pereira, but it's where they find the traffic. Now we need to look. We're looking at the tail of the race-leading McLaren there. You were thinking his tyres were already gone about 3 laps ago. What are you seeing as you look at this McLaren show?
They're both doing exactly the same line as their previous stint drivers, aren't we? We saw Kirchhoff doing the same line there, and there's the same for the Lambo. They just keep it much, much tighter. We go back to gold class leader Paul Everard in the 25 Santalot car, 9th overall at the moment. Quite clear of Tom Fleming in the Garage 59, the sister car to the leading overall that won yesterday, their gold class car. And interestingly there, you can see Lucas Auer behind that in 11th. That's interesting for overall championship, remember. And then look at this battle further down the field as well. Niederhausen has been the quickest driver in this second stint thus far on the averages, nearly half a second quicker than the Ferraris in front. Lucas Stoltz, very similar pace as well in the Mercedes though. So those two cars really on the move, the 9 Mercedes and the 96 Porsche.
Yeah, but there they are in 7th and 6th positions respectively. I think real key right now is the pace of the number 32 Team WRT BMW. They're leading the championship. They came here with a 1-point lead. They've got 3 points clear, but they're running in 3rd and making progress. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, and this car's taking the lead after being on pole, then losing place to Ooston. Why? They were 10 seconds faster in the pit stop than the 992 BMW. They had a very quick pit stop, and Paradine had a very slow one. So that was done in pit lane. So much so, look, Ooston down to 3rd now after Max Janssen made 9 places at the start. They're just about hanging on to a podium right now.
This won't be a race meeting that Paradine really want to look back on. Sometimes it just happens, but certainly with the damage on the opening couple of laps to Darren Lung in the sister car 991, that Jake Dennis is actually still circulating, that actually lapping very quickly indeed, but he's stone last. That's not where you normally find a Jake Dennis.
No, and he's had a tough weekend by his own admission. Here's 2nd in the bronze class. They've lost 2 pole positions this weekend for penalties and track limits in qualifying. They're feeling aggrieved. We've seen contact for the teammate of Marshall of Blackner earlier on. Car seems to be okay at the moment, doesn't he? And he's trying to chase down Martin Dienst, who incidentally has the fastest lap of the race. So yes, they're 25th overall, but that's because of the class. So Dienst in that Winward Mercedes, he's only jumped in that car this weekend as well. He is flying along and doing a mega job.
Yeah, leading the gold class sorry, the bronze class, I beg your pardon, Winward Racing, 25th position overall. But yeah, he's setting really quite a pace. He's taking the best part of 1 3/4 seconds a lap out of the car ahead of him. The next car in his target will be Bijoy Garg, the 76 Lamborghini from Barwell Motorsport. Up front, though, it's just 0.4 of a second between our race leader, Benji Goethe, and the chasing Lamborghini of Luca Engstler. The battling in behind is very tight indeed. Aurelian Panis is now being pushed by Maxime Houston. Panis second in class, in the silver class, in the VDS, Boots and VDS Mercedes, and tucked in behind it, chasing all the time. Paradigm Competitions, Maxime Houston, that slow pit stop, and he's trying to fight back. Clearly the car's got pace, but certainly Aurélien Panis, son of Olivier, is not going to be opening the door and say, come on through. But in turns, Kobe Powell's leading the class in the silver class, 12th overall by 7, nearly 8 seconds. Is it going to be a class double for them here in Magny-Cours?
Just starting to look at pace of other cars as well, and WRT still gaining 2 seconds behind. It wasn't the best last lap for them. That would have been traffic affected as the leaders have cleared another couple, but I think they've got a chance of 2, possibly 3 more cars to get round. Engstler now doesn't seem to have to stick on the back, does he? He's got his night lights on, the full endurance spec headlight, just to prove how angry he is, just trying to distract the 59 McLaren, Benji Goethe, who has done well to steady the ship. There's the 3rd place car, and this will be thinking about championship as well. Takes so much curb. We saw that earlier in qualifying with Calvin van der Linde, who hit the curb so hard we think he damaged the car in qualifying. So Charles Weerts will have to be careful of that. Then we go back to Rivera. They're 2 bronze class cars, not for position. Then there's Niederhausen, the fastest man of the stint so far, has now split those Ferraris and has jumped in front of Neubauer, and now is trying to chase down Rivera.
Yeah, Rivera's been going really pretty well. This was a meeting that had pace, had promise. It came to nothing in the opening race. The 51 Ferrari, it's running in 4th place overall, but it's way down off the tail of Charles Weerts. It's nearly 7 seconds in arrears, but his real battle is, as you point out, with the Rutronic Porsche of Patrick Niederhauser. Bit of a mistake there from Houston. He closed right on the tail of Panis for second in the silver class, but he's still in 3rd. Lights are flashing, but did actually quite well to save that, because he ran very wide indeed.
Let's have a look. He goes to the inside. Panis defends it, and he's trying to keep in at the same speed, but the dirty air just means the front doesn't grip as much as it usually would, and he's now regrouped, and look how quickly he's caught the back of that Mercedes.
Well, we heard it was a very slow pit stop for Paradigm, but the pace is there. But when you run wide going out of turn 1 into turn 2, it's a wonderful sweeping corner, but it is diminishing returns, because you talk about needing gravel. There's plenty of it just out beyond them, and you saw the BMW just clipping it. And now, how close would you like the lead battles to be? It's Benji Goethe still leading in the Garage 59 McLaren, but Luca Engstler doesn't even need the headlights now. He could actually just prod the back of the McLaren with that chasing Lamborghini.
I'm merely going to plant a seed in your mind, Bruce. The next car they need to lap is the sister car to the 63 car. I will leave it at that to see how that car gets out of the way. But look at the pace of McLaren in the straight line, just able to pull away. Marvin looking relatively pensive, isn't he? And he'll be worried, because I think this car of Charles Weerts, now 1.7 seconds behind, will start to force an issue on Engstler, and that will really give the G up to Engstler to get this job done.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, for Charles Weerts, this is just great. If he finishes in 3rd place, they will extend their championship lead to their closest rivals. Their closest rivals are only in 11th place. Maro Engel handed over to Lucas Hauer. Prayers being said by Jordan Pepper, please bring the car home. Which is going, please get 16.5 points for the win. But at the moment, running around in 2nd place overall, as close as you like it. But what's closing in is the BMW of Charles Weerts. Championship leader doing a champion-elect sort of job, but it's super close on points.
It's super close on his track limits as well for Charles Weerts. He's closing on a penalty, 4 track limits, so 2 more, he will get a 5-second penalty. This car only has 1, car in front has 2. That will be a consideration. Engineers will remind the drivers to use the track limits up effectively towards the end of the race if needed. It just looks like in sector 2 the McLaren has the strength just to hold the Lamborghini at arm's length, and then suddenly it comes back to the Lamborghini in traction zone, seems to stick with it. The concertina effect not looking strong on exit, so the Lamborghini must be good on throttle. It now starts to ebb away from it once they get above 200 Ks or so.
Right, riding on board the Lamborghini in 2nd place, looking at the race leader, Benji Goethe bouncing over the curbs at turn 15, 16 and 17 negotiating, bouncing over the curbs on the way in, on the way out, but they've got traffic up ahead, and you're quite right, it's a Lamborghini, also from the Grasser Racing team, down at the back of the pack, Ivan Ekelchik, but will he keep out of the way, and will their moment when they go past, make them back off a little bit and allow Charles Weerts to close in third place. In fact, the last lap wasn't as good for Charles Weerts. He's 2.1 seconds down on the race lead. Gap between first and second, it's a quarter of a second. It's next to nothing. Getting a toe, whatever toe you can get, up the curving straight. Now it's a straight line all the way up to the top of the hill at Adelaide. It looks as though it's almost flat here. It is an incline, trust me. But then, as you point out, that's the slowest point of the entire season, 45 kph at the Adelaide hairpin.
Sorry, the Lamborghini team almost breathless, just about getting sixth gear there. So it's not got much straight line speed, but it has got a huge amount of exit speed. We're talking about the low speed through the curbs here, both legal this time for them. Are we going to see a difference in line once more around this hairpin? We see the McLaren run wider. We're half a car width tighter, shorter distance, but then the McLaren makes good its escape, and they're using that curb more and more on exits. A huge bump. I think that's where the 112 McLaren fired itself into the wall yesterday. Drivers need to be careful of that.
It was. This is the middle of the three sectors and just going out of the end onto sector 3. But the middle sector is the one where the McLaren seems to have an advantage. Right, what's happening? This is a battle for second place in the silver class. They're running, it's Aurélien Panis in that number 10 Mercedes from Boots and VDS being pushed, harried, shoveled around the circuit by Maxime Ooston, and Constantijn is tucked in behind in his Emil Frey Racing Ferrari. That was one that got pushed out a little bit wide in the opening stint of the race, fighting back. He's the fly in the ointment, and all of this is going to certainly add more power to Kobe Powell's leading the Silver Cup class, because he's sitting on an advantage of, well, best part of 9 seconds clear of this battle. It's a great battle, but it is possibly about to change as the Ferrari comes through.
Yeah, is Ooston going to let the Ferrari go and maybe use that to open the door? Chris Lullen just on the fastest sector 1 out of anyone. Where could have they been if it wasn't for the 5-second penalty for Vermeulen and then the contact on the outlap? We still haven't seen anything for the 50 Ferrari, have we? Well, that contact that happened there, maybe race control want to have another look. Will they have another look at the incident that saw Benji Girth cut the inside as we get a replay as they sweep round turn 3? And again, Engstler able to get to the inside, just got on the grass too much, didn't it? That would have caused the traction control to kick in. There would have been a huge delta of grip right to left rear tyre, and that has probably hurt him. But interesting again, this McLaren doesn't seem to have the grip. Pepper saying a prayer, it feels like, underneath those hands. Win yesterday, and can they do the same again today?
Yeah, they were the outsiders in the championship battle. They weren't even the top 6 when they came here, but well, they were in 6th actually in the Sprint Cup. They moved to 5th last night, but they're 13 points but behind the crew in 4th, which is Benji Girth and this man, Marvin Kirchhofer. So at the moment they will be losing a bit of ground. But how much time have we got left? 12 minutes remain in this race. See that right in the top of the graphic on the left-hand side of your screen. 28 laps completed, 0.4 of a second between them. I think this is going to come down to one move, and I think it's going to be dictated by traffic.
Yeah, or is it a mistake from this McLaren? The rear tyre grip hasn't been there from the start. They changed tyres in the pit, so there were fresh tyres for Benji Girth, but the pressure's wrong. The delta between front and rear axle too much. If they had to trim the rear wing out of that McLaren to keep it fast after the balance of performance adjustment after qualifying, so many options, but Engstler just able to stay there. But because he doesn't have the top speed, he isn't able to execute the overtake easily. And now that McLaren in a GRT grassy sandwich, isn't he?
Yeah, right now it looks like the Lamborghini's a little bit looser, or maybe it's just he's having Luca Engstler in second place. He's having to take every iota of performance out of the car and almost let the handling go with it. And in the background, closing in, actually almost 2 seconds down, it was a foreshortening effect, but Charles Weerts is there or thereabout, but his championship chances with just 2 more races at the final round at Valencia, a 3rd place, yet another podium finish for him and his teammate Kelvin van der Linde is probably what the doctor ordered. But when you're almost within sniffing distance of a race lead, and you're looking at a lead battle where 2 cars are fighting tooth and nail, you must be thinking, I could yet be taking the 16.5 points for outright victory.
Yeah, and I said he was high on his track limits, but he actually has over a 5-second gap to Rivera behind, so he could potentially push on, and if he got a track limit position warning, he wouldn't actually lose anything. Look at Kirchhofer, 19 car, doing a great job of getting out the way. Very sporting, very fair. We've seen in other series, might I add, that not happening, and it takes away from the spectacle.
Entirely it does, and for CSA Racing, they're 1-1-1. It was hit problems yesterday with a penalty, and Jim Plyer has ended up off the circuit, not the sort of place you normally expect to find a Jim. This is a run down to turn 180, isn't it? It's on the exit of turn 6 and 7. The Nürburgring chicane. Maybe he bounced the chicane too hard over the curbing, but round he goes, and that will tumble out of the top 10.
Yeah, Lucas Howell was only a 10.5 behind him as they crossed the beam the lap before, so we'll keep an eye on that, and it must have been closer, and this is even closer now. This is the closest we've seen it, but just see the McLaren start to pull away. This is how the cars deliver such similar lap times. The McLaren needs better straight line performance because the torque of that Lamborghini is its strongest thing. The yellow flag out there, because full course yellow is going to be called, and it's going to be 10 seconds, and at that point they've got to be down to 80k, so expect them to get on the brakes anytime soon.
Yeah, and a 5-second penalty being added to car 93, the Zigo Tempesta Ferrari. At the moment, it's Eddie Cheever at the wheel. There it is, full course yellow. What's left on the clock? Under 9.5 minutes in this race. This is our lead duo. It's the McLaren that could be heading to become the first double winner in the series thus far this year, or in the Lamborghini behind that won last night. That too could become a double winner, but the gap has suddenly gone out from 0.5 of a car length to about 6.
It always lengthens under the 80k because of course they're going slower, but I definitely feel Benji Goethe was later on the brakes there. Was it too late? GPS sensors and all the cars, race control will review. You've got to be at 80 when it hits 0 on the call. That call is over the radio from race control, from your engineer as well if you require, and on the driver display, so no excuses anymore for these drivers.
Absolutely not, but of course, being drivers, being racers, you have to push to the very edge of the envelope. Now, let's have a look. We were talking about the full course yellow period was about to start. We're waiting to the point at which they had to drop down to the requisite speed limit. Look, nothing between the McLaren coming out of the Adelaide hairpin and the Lamborghini tucked in behind. Still only about 1 car length, three car lengths. So there was the point, right at the top of the screen. They both slowed down, but it seemed McLaren slowed a little later. Or did the Lamborghini just slow a little bit early? I can't judge.
So either the Lamborghini went below 80 or the McLaren didn't go all the way to 80. It was right at the end of that brake zone down to 80 that suddenly the gap went. They broke at the same time. They were braking at the same energy to get it to 80, but it was the last bit, so it'd be interesting to see which one was wrong. Let's go on board. So it's on the exit of here. We're going to be hard on the throttle. The race control will be counting down probably now from 10. So let's just watch as we hit the brake, and we'll try and see the speed on the dash. So we're going to now start to slow down. And it's right at the end of that the McLaren pulls away. I don't think the Lamborghini went below 80. We went down and we were straight to the limiter. I just wonder if Benji Goethe went slightly over the 80 once he got back on the throttle. Marshall's there ready to go. What are we going to get? 2, possibly 3 racing laps. It doesn't look like that car's coming out easy. We normally see the boom come up. Charles Verts just trying to move the 19 along as efficiently as possible.
Well, he was asking just before the full course yellow for blue flags to be shown to Ivan Kelchik, and it hasn't worked in his favour. Nothing has happened yet, so he's sitting there bottled up. But third place will still be another really good result for Team WRC, but they were close enough to that lead battle. He was looking at the Lamborghini, number 63, right on the tail of Benji Goethe's McLaren that's leading the race, and looking at Luca Ainsley. He was close enough to see what Luca was doing, where he was challenging, and he certainly was challenging a lot, down into 180 lap after lap. But yeah, still they can't get the hooks into the top of the roll cage, the mounting points on the roof, but it's often down to lining it up, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I'm green with envy of the tyres on that Manitou as well. They're very cool, but I'd rather they just picked up and yanked out the way. There's a gap in the barrier about 100 metres behind them, so it shouldn't be long once the car's in the air, but I'm worried it's not in the air already as the clock continues to go. Expect to go straight back to green. No need for a safety car here. We'll get straight back into it.
So, hiatus, 6 minutes remaining in the race. 6 minutes, 9 seconds to be absolutely precise. Nose to tail at the front of the field, or slightly less nose to tail than it was before we moved into the full course yellow. Benji Goethe eked out an advantage or so, it seems, or maybe the chasing Lamborghini slowed a little below the limit, but that's an unlikely one to have. Down the slope they go past Jim Pla's stricken McLaren, which is still trying to be lifted clear of the gravel trap on the exit of the Nürburgring chicane, but it's all about focus. Will we get 1 or 2 flying laps after this period comes to an end? A chase to the end of this race, and will Charles Weerts be able to get close enough, have anything? But of course there is quite a gap ahead of our race-leading McLaren to the next car in line, and the car that wants to be chasing after them, there it is, the BMW in with 003 and "we" on the windscreen. That's Charles Weerts is very keen. He can't pass until this period comes to an end and put a lap on Ivan Nikelčic's Lamborghini. So he'll be getting very frustrated indeed. He'll be definitely on the radio to the pit saying, how soon is this going to be released? What's happening? Will we be going again at the end of this lap?
Yeah, and he'll want to clear that car as quickly as possible. It said Niederhauser down in 5th, and that car finally up in the way. So it could be back green in the next 60 seconds would be my prediction. But yeah, Niederhaus has done a good job. They've gained 7 positions since the start of this race, and that is because they are the fastest in the pits out of anyone. So Retronic, always good, but have been the fastest in the race today. 2nd for ComTU and 3rd for WRT on that 32 car. So good pit stops from the top 3.
Yeah, well, we heard from Klaus Graf, team principal of Retronic Racing, and they're really beginning to make their mark. And now, how close would you like to be, as we saw?
Race control to all teams. Attention, full course yellow ending.
Okay, fingers on the triggers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
And in the background, you'll see the BMW of Charles Weerts immediately getting past Ivan Nikelčić. So it was quite clear for Ivan. He's a lap down, let him through. But now the time is running down. 4 minutes remains, and the red BMW at the top of the shot is chasing these two, the race leaders. But before we got to the full course yellow, they were nose to tail with a Lamborghini right under the rear wing of Benji Goetter's McLaren. But right now there is clear air between them, trying to get the heat in their tyres as they go up the hill to the Adelaide hairpin. But certainly you can imagine Luca Engster, who was already frustrated before we had the full course yellow period, will be absolutely fuming that that gap has probably trebled in size. And the BMW in 3rd place is closing in. I don't think he'll have enough time, Charles Weerts, to get onto the tail of the Lamborghini, and that might actually just be very good news for Luca Engster, because suddenly he can still push at the moment, not feeling the threat from behind, and see what he can do about Benji Goetter. But very early in the second half of the race, you thought, Joe, that Benji Goetter had really taken a lot of the life out of the tyres, or not him, but the tyres didn't have a lot of life left. But he's actually bandaged it up really quite nicely since then, I'd suggest. Yeah,
he got his elbows out at the right point, didn't he? And is that going to be the theme as we now go to 3 minutes remaining of this race? Engster has caught up quickly, though, hasn't he? It was a mega middle sector, 3/10 quicker for him, and actually a little bit slow for Charles Weerts. He lost time to both these two cars, so it does look like it's going to be a 2-horse race at the front.
Well, it's almost like nothing has happened, because suddenly the Lamborghini with Luca Engster right under the rear wing of the McLaren, bouncing over the curbs. Now it's going to be where everything falls in front of them in the Gold Cup. It's Santilot Racing leading the way. Paul Everard, 10th place overall. Doesn't matter, he's just lost the position to Lucas Auer. They're not fighting for class. Silver Cup, it's Aston Martin all the way. Kobe Powell sitting on a lead of 10 seconds, sharing with Jamie Day. Jamie started the race, but young Belgian racer Kobe Powell's going very nicely in that number 21 ComTU Racing Aston Martin.
Yeah, Martin Dean still leading bronze class as well, 2.1 seconds ahead of Dennis Marshall. As we look at the man filter, Mercedes hasn't had a strong weekend. That's going to hurt their championship, that is for sure.
Yeah. Where is the move coming? You certainly say that through the course of this race, Luca Engster in that chasing Lamborghini from the Grasser Racing team. The car that won last night has tried quite a few points on the circuit through turns 6 and 7 they go, and down to a corner where attackers come frequently. We thought there might have been contact between the chasing Lamborghini a handful of laps ago before the full course yellow, but certainly Engster pushing the little kink as they come up the slope. And now what comes next? Remember, last night we saw the Lamborghini fight against the Rutronic Porsche, make a move up here and then back out at the final moment. Not that close this time around, but the clock is counting down. 1.5 minutes remain.
Yeah, next lap will be their last, and no further investigation between the incident between 63 and 59, where 59 cut across the chicane. So this is the battle. If Engster wants the win, he's got to do it now, and he's got to do it in the next 4.6 kilometres of this Magny-Cours circuit.
Well, down the bottom right of the screen, Jordan Pepper, the teammate of the driver who's at the wheel of the Lamborghini at the moment, can only look on. You feel absolutely helpless right through 16, 17, going now to the start-finish straight, and then when it crosses the line, we're going on to the final lap, the second of the 2 1-hour races here at Magny-Cours. There is nothing between them, 0.273 of a second, but we've got 17 turns in the lap. We've just been through the first 2. No move's going to happen at 3. He's starting to have fewer options left to him. Can he get enough of a tow? Hasn't worked for him yet. You talked about the Lamborghini having really good torque to get out of the corner. And this is where he's got to use it up the straight, but doesn't seem to be close enough as yet.
No, this is the McLaren sector. Sector 1 is its strongest sector, so don't get disheartened if you want a Lamborghini win. This isn't done. It will now go back to Lamborghini for the second 2 sectors. Was Goethe early on the brakes there? Was he conservative? Was he checking up to try and stop a run of the Lamborghini out of that slow corner? They're nose to tail. We still have plenty of time left here. 2 big overtakes potentially, turn 9 and 14.
Right, big gap ahead of them to the last of the cars. They might the next car they might catch. That's going through turn 180 up ahead of them. They reach 180. They shouldn't be interrupted by anybody else, but it's been covered off by Benji Goethe. Kept that McLaren filling as much track as he possibly can, but a better exit speed from the 63 Lamborghini, but surely not enough to make a move up to Imola. Surely.
They've both got track limits to use up. Are they going to cut the inside of the next left at 12? That's what I'd be doing if I was one of them. They both look evil, and there's one chance here. Is he going to send it? He looks at it, and is he going to rub him up? Is it going to be a push to pass? One more overtake potentially down the hill into turn 15.
Surely Benji Goethe's got it covered up, but what's going to happen down to 15 to Lycée Pin, as it's called? It's the corner just before they get into the final sequence of corners, but no, just enough of a car length advantage there for Benji Goethe. Took victory in the second race at Misano by the smallest of margins. This is going to be even less than that, almost side by side as they go across the line, but the McLaren wins by 0.156 of a second. It was nothing. Marvin Kirchhofer hasn't breathed for 5 laps, and now he has a puff of air out of his lungs. So what a scrap. And at the end, it was only 1.8 seconds covering the top 3 cars, and that was absolutely fantastic. Gold class winner, Paul Everard, in 10th place overall. Got that nailed down very nicely. And the silver winner is actually next in the track. It's Kobe Powell's. It's the green and yellow Come To You Racing Aston Martin. And the bronze class winner will be Marvin Dietz for Winwood Racing in his Aquamarine Mercedes. But a race, there is the bronze class winner. Down in 23rd overall, Dennis Marshall under a second behind him for Kessel Racing. So this is not over yet. I said class winner, no, class leader on the final lap.
Yeah, a bit too far back for a move, but if that finish line was later on in the pit straight, that could have gone for Luca Engstler, couldn't it? I don't think Blattner's going to be able to do anything. Great job here for the Winwood Mercedes to take the bronze class lead and win.
Yeah, neat and tidy. Kessel Racing, though, continues to show super strong forms. They're putting points in the bank every time around. But Benji Goethe hangs on to take victory in the number 59, Garage 59 McLaren, but only just from Luca Engstler, 0.156 of a second, and only a second and a half back to the driver in 3rd place, Charles Weerts, in the number 32 BMW. But job really well done. And you could see the relief for Marvin Kirchhofer there.
Yeah, he would have thought that wasn't going to happen when Engstler was alongside and in the back of him. And great job. He put it on pole. He led all of his stint. Goethe did well. Didn't look like an easy car for him. And they take the accolade of being the first double winners of the season. And it's taken until race number 8.
Yeah, super competitive. McLaren coming on strong. Don't forget, we started the season with a victory for Ferrari in the opening race at Brands Hatch, followed by a Mercedes victory for Aaron Engel. Today, Aaron Engel only down in 8th place overall. So how the pendulum can swing, of course, the balance of performance being adjusted through the course of this meeting. And for Lamborghini, first and second, and from the start of the meeting to the end, they had 25 kilos added to their payload. So an astonishing job for the Grasser Racing team. And you know what? Luca Engstler ended up in 2nd place, was desperate for victory, but he can go home thinking, hold on, a first and a second, that's not a bad load of swag to put in the bag, is it? So points galore. And certainly hats off when you look back to the gold class to Paul Everard. Santalot Racing always go well on their home patch here with their Audis. They were 9th overall to win the gold class. The silver class in 10th place overall, Come To You Racing Aston Martin, with Kobe Powell's competing the job. And Marvin Dietz just hanging on to take victory in the bronze class. A lot to look at in that race. Some really classic scrapping, Joe. And in fact, we've got pretty much all but one car home to the end of the race, and it was Jim Pla. We saw his number 111 CSA Racing McLaren ending up in the gravel on the exit of the turn 6-7 Nürburgring chicane, but a little bit of bodywork rubbing, but 38 cars coming out to play, and play they did. But there is our winner, car number 59, driver who started from pole, Marvin Kirchhofer, out of the car, and waiting for the driver who finished it off under intense pressure. The door goes up, Benji Goethe about to get out, and the young star, another one in the bag. Oh, he looks drained there. Just that first side of the eyes. That's a puff. The adrenaline is now going. It's fading away. And that would have been physical because he really was under intense pressure and had to have that sort of extra sense of vision to know precisely where the attacks were coming from. When they came from the left, the right, almost over the top.
Yep, he'll sleep well. He needs some hydration as well, and that might be the champagne, I think, is probably the best. And look how close the fans can get here, and it's been a great weekend for the fans. Jordan Pepper, teammate of Luke Engst, obviously second place, looking a little unhappy with that, but yeah, like you said, they've had a great weekend, and it's not over in the championship. The championship goes down to Valencia, so if you're a local there or fancy a holiday, a great track to go and watch. You can see every single corner in that natural amphitheatre just outside the city centre.
Yeah, you can stand on the rooftop, fantastic terrace, brilliant food down in the city centre, so, and the weather should be lovely there too, but right now these drivers don't care about the weather, they care about the points. They're just so simple-minded, aren't they? Just points, 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 that's all drivers think of. Victories, but what a great scene. And there we have the winners in the other class, the Sansalot Racing Audi that took victory in the gold class. But let's go down and hear from our winners, Benji Goethe and Marvin Kirchhofer.
Winners of race 2, Benji, Marvin, my goodness me, what a race that was. That battle with Luca, that didn't look like an easy win.
No, definitely not. It was all over the back of me pretty much the whole stint. At the start of the stint, I had a few cars hindering us, a few lap cars, but yeah, at the end we got in clean there, and I was just trying to keep him behind me the whole time, to be honest. He was he was quick behind me, but glad we managed to get the win.
And thank you so much for making this championship battle even more exciting for us all to watch. Marvin, talk us through that stint. Also, do you know, it's been 9 years since McLaren's last win, and you boys now do 2 in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, that feels good, definitely. I mean, as I said earlier today, we had a great car underneath us, and it feels really good to obviously finish off a sprint weekend with another win. So keeps us in the contention for the championship. So we try and just repeat that next time out in Valencia.
Loving your work. Thank you, boys. Well done.
Thank you very much. Alex Legui down there jumping in on the winners. You can feel the satisfaction there, and you know, a win is great, but a hard-won win is all the better. And for the Garage 59 crew with their McLaren, 0-0-1 on the windscreen, and victory. That's their second win in 3 races. They won the second race at Misano by a small margin, and today by just 0.156 of a second. They managed to keep Luca Engstler's Lamborghini at bay with that lunge out of the final corner, almost alongside as they got onto the start-finish straight. Super, super close. Charles Beert's background of the shot, taking 3rd place overall, so more points in the bank for the crew. But let's go down with our silver winners, Kobe Powles and Jamie Day. The gold class, sorry.
Gilles, congratulations. You converted that pole to another win. Well done, boys.
Thank you. Yeah, this one feels nice. A bit of luck, obviously, with the 69, but still, we did a decent job today. I think we managed to get the full potential out of the car. We were missing a bit of pace this weekend, but we made the most of it.
It's been quite a roller coaster year so far, but I guess this gives you quite a lot of confidence moving into the second, well, the very last part of the season.
Yeah, thank you to Gilles. He did an amazing job in first one. It was an amazing day for us, second victory of the season. Now focus to Valencia.
Good job. Well done, boys. Home win.
Thank you very much. And just to reiterate, that was the gold class victory going to Paul Everard and Gilles Magnus. So they're closing in on the race leaders. And they're Sansalot Racing Audi. The French team has had great success on home ground. But let's go down and hear for the silver class winners, Kobe Powles and the previously announced Jamie Day.
Well, I'm getting quite used to speaking to you two now. Another fantastic win in the bag. Didn't look like an easy race, though.
No, Max had a very good start, but from then on, Jamie just kept putting pressure on him, and we knew we had a very good pit stop crew who delivered an outstanding pit stop. So after the pit stop sequence, we got the lead. Super happy. So huge shout out to the guys. Huge shout out to him. He did a fabulous weekend, no mistakes, nobody in fact. So yeah, super happy.
It's been a really strong weekend for you, hasn't it? What is it about Magny-Cours that suits your driving style so much?
To be honest, it's all the fast and flowing nature of the track. It suits the car, suits me, and yeah, like you said, it's been a perfect weekend almost. You know, 2 wins, a pole, almost maximum points of the weekend, so we can't complain at all.
Great job, boys. Well done.
Again, great to see young faces doing well. Not many candles spread across their 2 birthday cakes, but here it is, car number 21, Come To You Racing. It's been a cracking time for them at Magny-Cours. Maxi Moosen, slow pit stop for the Paradigm BMW, got back from 3rd into 2nd place, but had been well up the order in the opening stint of the race when there was an absolutely brilliant getaway from Max Janssen. Gained, I think it was 13 positions we said, but anyhow, certainly rattled its way up the order in the early stages. But Come To You Racing just looking so good with their Aston Martins, and already people starting to move up on to the podium, and that's waiting for the main podium ceremony to start. The podium is not overlooking the track. Well, there is one, but we use one in the paddock, and it gives a chance for the fans to get up close, look at the cars after the race, get the sort of smell of the burning clutches, the rubber, the everything, the flies spattered on the front, and get to see the drivers as well. So it really is very inclusive, and fan activation very much a feature of the GT World Challenge. Quite hard for the people to find the drivers, but let's go down and hear from our bronze winners. It was Winward Racing, it was Car 81, Marvin Dietz and Renat Salikov.
Well done, boys. Renat, you held your nerve. That didn't look easy with all those yellow flags.
The start was really tough, so the target was just to survive there, so I'm happy that we did it, and then I was just pacing. Somehow I was in a free air, it was a bit easier. We cannot say the same about our car. For sure this weekend we will struggle a bit, but luckily we got the P1, and the team deserved that. Everybody, Marvin did an amazing job, all the team did an amazing job, and happy birthday Paul, it's our mechanic, so he also deserved it. But yesterday it should be there, but only today.
Oh, well, happy birthday to him. Yeah, you certainly did do a good job, and this is what you needed, isn't it, boys? You needed this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not an easy weekend for us. We earned P2 yesterday after post-race penalties, and now P1 today. Rin did an amazing job in qualifying, brought it home, gave it to me in P1, and I had to bring it home. It was not easy, I had to full send it. Yeah, as mentioned, we didn't have the pace this weekend, but yeah, in the end, P1.
Full send it you did, well done.
Thank you there. Rin Salikov and Marvin Dietz, who stepped on board this weekend, filling the seat normally occupied by Gabriele Piana. But car looks great, but they didn't have the pace that they would have wanted, but they raced it supremely well and took the victory in the bronze class. Again, the curbing, such a feature at Magny-Cours, but what a result for Benji Goethe and Marvin Kirchhofer by the giant margin of 0.156 of a second, a blink of an eye or less, ahead of Luca Engstler and Jordan Pepper with the Lamborghini. So it was McLaren from Lamborghini and more manufacturers to follow. Look, top 6 positions, 6 different manufacturers. Charles Weerts, Kelvin van der Linde, 3rd in their BMW, 4th for Alessio Rivera, Vincent Abril in their Ferrari, Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Muller, 5th in their Porsche. Just going down the order there, Silver Cup winners, we've heard from them, Powles and Day, young guns going very nicely indeed. And Bronze Cup winners, Dietz and Salikov, but 38 cars went out to play, 37 made it back. And this is the top 3 on the podium already. Charles Weerts and Kelvin van der Linde. Jordan Pepper closer to us and Luca Engstler. Victors last night, but today by 0.156 of a second. They had to accept second place, but it wasn't for a want of trying. But up onto the top step, first repeat winners of the 2025 GT World Challenge Sprint Series. It's Luca, it's going onto the top step, it's Benji Goethe, and the driver who started it all, Marvin Kirchhofer. So caps off for the anthems. So the British National Anthem for the winning team, Garage 59, the McLaren squad. Benji Goethe looking very happy indeed, finding everything most amusing, and out comes Matteo Braga, circuit activity manager for Pirelli. He's a busy man over the weekend, a lot of trophies to present. And to the second place crew, last night winners, but today they've gone from gold to silver, but still useful points in the bag. They arrived at Magny-Cours 6th in the Sprint Championship. They moved to 5th last night and will be still in 5th today, but they're closing on some of the front-running crews. But for Benji Goethe and Marvin Kirchhofer, they started this morning in 4th place. I think they should now have moved to 3rd, possibly even into 2nd. I have to do some maths very shortly indeed. But it's very tight at the top. But for the crew in 3rd place, Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Weerts, they moved to a 3-point lead overnight, and looks as though yet more helpful points put into their points pot. And points win prizes. We've got one race meeting to go in the sprint series, and that will be at Valencia. What can they do there? But be consistent, be fast, just do not make mistakes. And that's why these crews find themselves at the front of the field. This incredible array of manufacturers, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6 positions. Now, let's see how the manufacturer's standing has been adjusted after the 2 races here at Magny-Cours. And Mercedes started the day at the top of the pile. They're still there. BMW augmenting 2nd place, and they've moved just ahead of the Porsche, just 2 points behind. So tight at the top, and it certainly was tight at the top out on the circuit. Some fantastic scrapping here at Magny-Cours. Yesterday's race felt entirely different. Brilliant action. That was day into night. And now it's just a sunny Sunday afternoon at Magny-Cours. And for Garage 59, the delight for Marvin Kirchhofer and Benji Goethe. Plain to see. Team representative up there as well. And they're the first team to win twice this year. Up till last night, we had 7 winners in 7 races. Now we have 7 winners in 8 races. But here are the points. And up top, clear by 1.5 points now. Boy, it's been good for Goethe and Kirchhofer. They've moved into 2nd place, but it's Kelvin van der Linde, Charles Weerts leading the way, 1.5 points clear. And another 7 points further back to Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser. They lost a bit of ground today. So did Auer and Engel in 4th place. But Luca Ensler, Jordan Pepper moving in. But surely that's going to be a big ask down at Valencia. But they got to keep on pushing. A win and a 2nd place certainly gave them a helping hand with their Lamborghini. And now we move on through the podium ceremonies. Moving to the gold class as the crews come up, and Louis Pret not looking overly happy with 2nd place, but it's been a great meeting for Garage 59. The crew in 3rd place was number 88 crew from Tracer Attempter, Sebastian Ogard, Leonardo Moncini, but coming up to having taken overall victory in class, the 25 Sansalot Racing Audi crew of Paul Evrard and Gilles Magnus on the top step. So Matteo Braga being called back out to present the trophies to the gold crews. As mentioned, car number 88, the crew took 3rd place in class in gold. The Audi crew of Sebastian Ogard and Leonardo Moncini. 2nd place, car number 58, Garage 59 McLaren, and haven't they done well? Outright victory in the race, 2nd place in the gold class. That's the number 58 crew of Tom Fleming and Louis Pret. But the winning crew, the biggest trophies, the winners' trophies here at Magny-Cours in the Gold Cup class, and it's the crew in the Audi, number 25, Sansalot Racing, Paul Evrard and Gilles Magnus. And Gilles certainly likes this circuit. He took a silver class win here a couple of years ago, and certainly the Audi seems to suit it very nicely in their hands. So when you've done the 2nd race, you don't have to worry about the state of your race suit anymore, and you can fire champagne. It does smell a little bit afterwards, but it's a release of pressure and a release of joy. Points in the bag for all of these crews. And it looks a faceful, an eyeful for Gilles Magnus there of the spray. Great shot looking down at the cars. You can see the bronze class winner, the silver class winner, the Mercedes and the Aston Martin as we move up with the drone. And again, the fans thronging around that temporary podium in the paddock. A really, really great addition to make the GT World Challenge all the more fan-friendly. And it really is something that I think ticks a lot of boxes. But victory in the Gold Cup class
has certainly helped. Gilles Magnus and Paul Evrard, they're in second place now, just 2.5 points down on Chris Lullum and Thierry Vermeulen. And remember, that car was running third but got given a time penalty and it dropped them way down the order. Third in class, Louis Pret, second overall today, so again staying in the hunt, and he hasn't always had the same teammate, that's why he's on his own. Sebastian Oegaard and Leonardo Moncini, we saw them finishing third today in their Audi, so it's all about scoring consistently. And now we're cracking on through the podium ceremonies. Boots and VDS out there. This is the silver class. It's car number 10 in third place. Aurélien Panis, César Gazo. In second place, it's the 992 entry, the BMW crew from Paradigm Competition, Maxi Musten and Mex Janssen. And then about to come out after 2 wins in 2 races, Jamie Day and Kobe Powell's Aston Martin crew from Come To You Racing. Been a great meeting for them. So certainly a very strong showing, and it will be a lead extension for Come To You. So the strains of the Belgian national anthem. But that brings us very much to the end of 2 days at Magny-Cours. It's been fantastic. We've had some brilliant racing. We had racing by day, racing by night, and at the end we had some super close finishes. Do make you come join us later when we go to Valencia.